Hello there and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be doing the Season 10 of the Drivers' Championship. For those of you unaware, this is basically something that I've been doing as streams where I take a backseat and take the role of the commentator, while 20 of you, sometimes more, duke it out and have the AI race each other. Usually when we do these Driver Championships, there is some sort of gimmick, and Season 10 does have one as well. Basically, you have to create two drivers from a shared pool, which means that you can create one really, really good driver or one really, really bad driver, or try and equalize them in some way. Basically, each driver will be racing half the season, 8 races in this case, and the other driver will take the remaining 8 races. Cars will be equalized, things will be made as fair as possible. Basically, you are trying to make the best driver that the AI can score points with, basically. On my end here, I have Phantom GP2 engine and Ferrari's Hopiums with me, symbolizing, the start of this season, hopefully. But basically, as I mentioned, this is just going to be me taking a backseat, being the commentator, so to speak, and we're going to go through 8 races starting in Baku and see what everyone can do. So before we jump in, our first race, our first qualifying, we are going to take a quick look at the teams, we're going to take a quick look at the cars, and see how everything stacks up. So starting out here, as I mentioned, everyone has the same team here. Everyone will have 80 rated staff. They'll start with the same facilities, settings, everything. I'll be editing this. But basically, as I mentioned, depending on how people do things, they can start with some pretty decent drivers, mid-range, or in the worst case scenario here, as with the Ferrariums, both of them invested all their stats into one driver, and as a result, we have 52 rated Schumacher and 52 rated Singh, who will be having a pretty terrible first half of the season, but will hopefully be able to come back later on. Now, because the drivers are made from a shared pool, I decided to take the lowest rated drivers in the first 4 races, and then we'll take the higher rated drivers for the last 4, which will basically mean that they will have a little bit of retaking to do. They'll have to gain back and see if they can overtake the other drivers in the first 4 races, which should be fairly interesting. Our contestants here, I don't remember everyone's names because guys chose to go with horses here. Haru Urara and Max Verstappen on Red Bull, Parker Petrov and Get Control, Mercedes, Schumacher and Singh on Ferrari, Ted Starcloud and Bolomolo on, McLaren, the Cremated Duck and Mr. Poof on Aston here, Tannhauser and Silent Suzuka on Alpine. Going to be really interesting. Defense Floof and Avoid OP drivers. Mike Aramwada and Crescent Luna. We have Face Morth, Bohemian Tragedy. The Unethan and the Gulf of America will be setting up in Haas here. So as I mentioned, these are the worst-ish rated drivers that will be taking part in the first 4 races. And unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to show everyone what the high rated drivers are going to be because I'll be editing things mid-season. But basically, these are the people that will be competing against each other. Now, in terms of the car itself, there is a couple of things to keep in mind. We set the DRS effectiveness at 50% because it'll make it a little bit hard to overtake. But to compensate that, I set the dirty air tolerance to 90%, meaning that following should be a lot easier. And the tire preservation has been bumped down to just 30%. Now, because of smoothness not really having that much of an impact in earlier seasons, we decided to make things a little bit more interesting in this one by just bumping down the tire preservation. Again, making smoothness more important. Maybe bump down a little bit too much, but we'll take a look at that. And the rest of these stats correlates to basically 60% performance. Now, every team is identical in terms of their car performance. I've given them all the same engines, the same pit crew, which has been debuffed to make things a little bit spicier. But generally here, everyone has the same car, the same engines, the same amount of parts. They've all been given 12 of each part to ensure that there's no one who runs out from having terrible drivers take charge. And that should be a-okay. Now, mentality has been disabled, which you'll see once I just click one day further here. Basically, it takes a day to kick in, if you will. The mentality is not going to be playing a part in this as usual. But honestly, that is kind of it. There isn't really much more to this. I will take the role of a commentator. My 2 drivers will participate in qualifying, just so we can actually witness qualifying. But they will be sitting out of the race, and they'll be sitting out of Q3. And generally, as I mentioned, I take the role of a commentator, and we see whose driver is the luckiest or the most skillful, or basically has the best combination of these two attributes, because that is usually who wins. We do have a several time winner here. If we take a look at the standings here in Mercedes Parker Petrov, so we'll have to see if they can get another one under their belt. But we'll have to see how this goes. There are some Floof copies here, Poof, and of course the Fence Floof. But I do believe the actual Floof, the legend, is here in Tannhauser. I will be posting, going over who everyone is, but some of these, again, Olomolo, Singh, Tessie do match their Discord names. But I'm going to have to be honest, I'm so behind schedule on getting this video out that I've forgotten most of these names. I set this up like weeks ago. So let us get in here and see how this first race in Baku is going to go. And just like that, we are ready for qualifying in the first race in Baku. I've made the worst car that I could possibly imagine. Let's be honest here. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? But basically, as I mentioned, the way this works is pretty simple. I am going to have one of my drivers get through Q1, get through Q2, and basically try to secure a spot, just so we can actually see what goes on in qualifying. Now, for the most part here, things are going to be fairly interesting. There are a lot of bad drivers here. There are some decent drivers here. But the best drivers, as I mentioned, will take part in the final four races of this season out of 8 races. So these first 4 could be very, very interesting. I've chosen my name, GP2 Engine, and Hopimos Ferrarius, simply because, let's face it, Ferrari has big hopes, particularly with that upside down rear wing of theirs. And, well, Fernando has once again been cursed with a GP2 engine. I could not stop myself. But yeah, I don't think anyone is going to be beating my driver's times. They are kind of broken, to be honest, just to ensure that we get through. So what we are going to be paying attention to is basically the others' times here. 35 for Petrov here is not having a good first run, but Tannhauser did, surprisingly. But basically what we are going to be interested in is the last few laps. This is the initial one, which will give us an idea of what's going on. And we have our first red flag here. It's Schumacher. Yikes, that's the gearbox. That's going to be some pretty bad damage to the gearbox. And Ferrari is the first victim of this season that has been absolutely shafted by that. Now, I did give everyone 6 engines, gearboxes, and ERSs just because I felt nice. Well, felt nice just because I was kind. But this could be bad if the quote-unquote bad drivers keep on crashing constantly. Schumacher out in just 5 minutes of qualifying is a kind of a sign of things to come, I think. And we'll have to see how this one plays out. But I do want to see how this first qualifying session goes. We're just going to focus a little bit more on that one. But in reality here, it should be hard to beat Tannhauser time here. And we can already see the huge gaps here. The Poof. Never mind. Times of being beaten. Urara there with a 1.7. That's actually kind of really, really good. Currently Sing, Poof, and Poof, as well as Control, currently in danger of getting absolutely sent out here. Sing is another driver that is very, very low rated, and a lot of these guys are going to just have a terrible first 4 races here, and then try and recover during the second half of the season. That's just the name of the game. Let's see here if we can see any improvement from the bottom 4. I don't think it's going to be very likely. You can already see it. Poof is improving, but there are cars up ahead that's improving way more than they are. Already 6/10 up. So, while it is a shame, we're going to see a way more aggressive spread in these qualifying sessions compared to what we usually have. And, oh, Duck got knocked down 1. Get back in though. So, Floof, Poof, Control, and Sing, seemingly the ones out here in Q1. Once we get to Q2 and Q3, that's, I think, when things are going to get more interesting quality-wise. So yeah. Urara here, fastest so far. Cremated Duck barely survives. Yeah, floof, poof. Neither of these are floof, but I find it hilarious. Both of them are out of Q1. Some basic bullying going on. Yeah, I'm just going to allow everyone to do their banker laps, and then we'll see who goes out in Q2. So we've done our banker laps for Q2 here. Currently, it's the drivers, both Salvers, Tannhauser, Petrov, and Suzuka here, who are in danger of being eliminated. Petrov here is on their final run, fast lap, 35.2. It's an improvement. We'll have to see if it is enough. It is better than Urara's last lap by 0.3. That in itself is good news for them. And Sauber here, 0.5 down. What you need. There is going to be traffic. That is going to be a bit of a concern. Petrov 40.4. It's still better than the current leader, so to speak. This should be a good enough time to get out of the danger zone for the Mercedes driver. We'll have to see what the rest can do here as well. But Petrov does move up, and that is pretty close to the best time we've seen. Unfortunately, I think Sauber driver here is not doing enough. Yeah, not enough right there. That is one driver out, and currently you have someone here on the brink. Again, the names do escape me a little bit. I'll have to learn them. Other Sauber driver here is doing well. Oh, that is not good enough from the RB driver here. In danger of being eliminated as both OP drivers, Suzuka, everyone here is improving. Tannhauser is down. This is going to be this is actually going to be quite a close struggle, I think. Let us see here now. Improvement in the middle sector too. I think RB is out here. One RB got eliminated. Tess is improving, but this time might not actually be enough because everyone further back is also improving. We have both the Alpines are trying to improve, and OP drivers improved. Suzuka improves. Not good enough from Tannhauser, and it's not going to be good enough from... Okay, I think. Is it? It's going to be close. Does actually do more than enough there. My bad. As you can see here, there's two cars at the exact same time, and both of them are currently eliminated. That would have been really, really close there. But yeah, there's three cars here separated by 0.003 of a second. All of them out, though. Yeah, more Suzuka, OP drivers, Luna, Tannhauser, and Crashity out in Q2 here. We'll have to see who gets it onto pole the first race of the season. After the banker laps here was set in Q3, we have Petro up front by 0.3, which is pretty impressive. But also, Petro here has decided to go out just as the rest of the cars here are starting their fast laps. It's going to do a little bit of blocking. Hesse already improving a little bit, but it's not purple, and neither is for Verstappen. But yeah, Petrov here is trying to cause a little bit of mayhem. We do have a purple sector at 35.2 from Iron Water, which means that As could still be on for a really, really good time here. We'll just have to wait and see. Is it going to be a close fight for pole position or not? 35.4 and 35.5 is a little bit less than optimal here. 35.2 from Molo Bolo is great. Let's see what Taz does. Taz goes second fastest. Purple final sector. What about the water here? Aaron goes second fastest ahead again. What about the Haas driver? Gulf of America. Where do you end up? Fourth fastest. The other Haas at the end. And Petrov, Molobolo. He throws Petrov at the moment, but that is a purple first sector. Duck and Petrov are both the only ones who can change things here. Is it going to be an upset? It does not seem like Duck can do it. Pre-mated one. But Petrov, purple, up 210 so far. Where does Duck line up? Duck lines up where they were. Can Petrov take pole back? Petrov does take pole back by a tenth. That is a strong initial performance here. And with that, Bolomolo, Iron Water, Tess, Golf, 2 Red Bulls, Living Duck, and the Haas driver. Yeah, names are going to come to me a little bit later. I'm very sorry. The Unethan. There we go. will come to meet Verstappen and Urara. Yeah, that is our lineup for this race. As I mentioned earlier, the way that we're going to do this is pretty straightforward. I am going to be searching car parts. Pop on that ERS. Just doing this basically puts me back into the pit lane. I can also change just the setup on the car, but let's face it, this is just as easy. We're not going to be racing. We are just going to be sitting in the pit lane itself and then retire at the start of the race. The big question here is going to be, are we going to see Schumacher in the pit lane? You had that first red flag. It was the only incident of qualifying, which is kind of impressive in Baku, that we only had one crash. Race begins. How is Petrov going to get off the line? Medium tires, not the best launch. Could see Bolo Molo get involved here, but no, Petrov holds it off. Verstappen here, trying to take a spot from the Golf. Might actually be able to pull that off, and does do that, but Urara gets shuffled down in exchange. So gaining and losing for the Red Bulls. Suzuka now moving up to 11th. Now, as I mentioned here, for our drivers, we are just going to retire them. Basically, that is going to be it. Now, we are just going to sit back, enjoy the race, and see who can make the most out of it. Now, Living Duck and control here on hard tires is questionable, to say the least. And the reason why I say that is because tires around here, generally, you don't want to use a hard ever.
Sorry about that.
The degradation difference is so low. Let's face it, you're not running around a lot of laps. I can't speak. You're not running a lot of laps around here, just 50 laps. And with that in mind, the compound performance here for the softs, it's going to take basically nearly 20 laps for a soft to become basically as slow as the hard is. So the soft retains an advantage over the hards for 20 laps. Mediums retain an advantage over the hards for 20 laps as well. So you kind of want to avoid using them, particularly since you can generally one-stop around here. But with the low amount of tire preservation on some of these cars and the low smoothness that some of others have, we could see some interesting strategies. So let's see if these hard choices for the cremated duck and get control will work out for them here. First lap is done. Let's see if we have any spicy moments. We've had our first moment here. The Iron Water has had a spin and some damage to the front wing as a result of that spin. That is very unfortunate. They're going to be sent to the back of the Shadow Realm here. And that is a really, really early incident here. Just jumps the curb, spins, slams into the wall. Not a Spanish Schumacher, can continue this race, I would think, but that is going to be a new front wing, I would think, but it looks like just half the end plate is missing. They might still be good to go. Lost a little bit on the tire, but the position loss is going to be way more painful. But they are continuing to race. Let's see if they can do a recovery drive. 5 laps in here, and for the most part, the standings are as when we started. Verstappen is the one who's made the biggest inroads here up into a podium spot. But Bolo and Petrov are still just doing what they have been doing. And down here with the fans, that is where the gaps are starting to form. We're going to start seeing the gaps between 14 and 15 just get bigger and bigger, I think. But for the most part, everything is as we began. So we'll give it a little bit more time. See if we get any daring moves here. But the soft tires are definitely being eaten pretty rapidly by some. Bolo Molo is the first of the front runners coming in for a pit stop here, and they've gone for a hard tire. They've also had a slow stop. Suzuka is also coming in for a hard tire. So I can say for sure here that the hard tires are going to be used here, and Ferrari are double stacking. Let's see how this goes for them. Is it going to be more tragedy for Schumacher? It's going to be a bit of a slow stop, but it looks like everyone here will end up using the hard tires, which should make the choice to start on them maybe not as bad. Duck can go a lot longer, be a little bit of a problem. And for Bolo here, the goal now is just going to be to push, try and close down the gap, and still retain up front, even after that terrible pit stop. We're still going to have more here coming in. The soft runners are getting to the point now where the tires are basically cooked. And that should shake things up a little bit here. Are we going to see some pit stops here? That we are. 4 cars come in. I think the Saubers should have enough of a gap here that they're not going to be slowed down. That's actually pretty sweet, honestly. Medium tires and soft tires. So they're not doing the hard tire. Neither is Tannhauser nor Luna here. And with that, you might see them try to chase down Bolo here. It's going to be a little bit of a gap. 8 seconds. Let's see if Suzuka is going to hold the rest of them up here. We also do have the fence currently causing problems for the real one. This is peak irony here. And Living Duck has crashed. Sorry, cremated duck. Force of nature. Well, force of habit, more like it. Oh, that's not good. That's not just one, that's like 3 or 4. That is an unfortunate tap. But it looks like the car is still running. Just goes wide and just skids along the wall. That is really, really unfortunate. But Duck is still running. And will be coming into the pit lane here. That's actually wild. Like, took that much damage and still lived. Are we going to have a first puncture here? Or are you going to get the pit lane before that happens? You got to the pit lane before that happened. Congratulations. But that is very unfortunate. Just pitted onto... No, not just pitted. Started on those hard tires, I believe. The front wing. Teleport on the tires. But as you can see, there's still major damage. I assume the suspension, side pod, chassis even might all be a little bit destroyed here. And I am curious, if we take a look at the Duck, don't look like you actually suffered any damage to your components on the car, so it's definitely just, again, suspension, I would assume, is absolutely shafted on that right side of the car. I'll have to see if you can do some sort of recovery into the points here. But currently, we have the Gulf America in the lead ahead of Petrov. Made that little swap up there. I wasn't paying attention. If we take a look here, a lot of places have moved up here, but most of this is due to pitting as the Gulf America comes in, along with Tez. Mediums for the McLaren. Bit of a slow stop for the Haas there. Going to have that McLaren right up the bum. And it is hard tires for the Gulf. Hard tires, and the fastest lap here goes to Tannhauser. But yeah, top 5 here, still need to pit, and I think Bolo... Yeah, Bolo here has actually made enough of a gap here that they undercut the leaders. So Bolo will take the lead no matter what happens here once everyone has pit. The question is just, what are the top 5 going to pit to? Are any of them going to pit this lap? They are not, by the looks of it. Never mind, Verstappen comes in. It's a double stack from the Red Bulls. This is dangerous. This is terrible. That's a good 3 or 4 seconds lost there for Urara. And we've had another incident. Yellow flag. Crash involving multiple cars. A Ferrari. It's Singh and the Williams. That's impressive that they did not eat the wall there, but that is a Ferrari lost from wing by the looks of it. Is it? Did it survive? Yeah, it looks like they survived no real damage here with the Floopster. Yeah, OP drivers out in 13th, and we're still waiting for the Unethan and also Petrov here to pit. We've had a interesting first 16 laps here, I'm not going to lie. Is there going to be any penalties for that incident? No penalties given. It's the call. Yeah, I'm very curious how far down Petrov and Unethan here is going to end up, because they're still going. Unethan right now is the only one holding Molo back. And you can see just how much of a time difference there is here. 3-4 seconds a lap now Petrov is losing to the cars further back. Going long here might actually be really, really bad for them. And Ethan, who pitted from, well, second place, it's now down to 13th. And Petrov, what can you do? Are you going to go around again? You lost 3 seconds to Molo. You lost 4 seconds to Gulf of America. And it's going to be very much the same fate this round if you do not pit. Does in fact come into pit here. Let's see if the Mercedes driver has a clean pit stop, or Pickford's going to make a mistake. They are making a mistake. Slow stop. Verstappen takes the fastest lap while that is going on. Where is our race leader going to come out? In 8th. as it stands. A good 12 seconds behind the current leaders, Gulf of America, Molobolo, and Tess, with Verstappen chasing them down. A four-way fight kinda here for the lead at the moment. Let's see if things remain as they are, or if we get some other surprises before the end of this. And if we take a look here, America's moved up 4 places, had a great race. Mort moved up 5, great race so far. Suzuka, Anasa, Crashity. Park has not had the best one, but they just pitted. They're probably going to get that back. Mike had that incident. Duck had a little bit of a unfortunate stop. Let's see here what the next 30 laps have to offer as Control now finally pits. And again, this is a driver that will shine in the second half of the season, not the first half. Halfway through the race now, and we're getting to the point where most cars will need to do their second pit stop. We have Tess jumping in here. Verstappen should probably do the same, and the Gulf of America is still having a pretty healthy lead. It seems the hard tires are doing a much better job than expected, quite possibly due to the low tire degradation. Makes sense. Top 3 here has now pitted. Tannhauser was one of the earlier pit a second time along with Control. We'll have to see if this early stop from the Alpine driver will benefit them in any way, shape, or form. But they are quite a bit down the road, but this should give them at least a couple of positions once everyone does pit. But currently, Haas driver, Gulf America here, is in a pretty strong position, not going to lie. The question is, are they going to retain that strong position after they pit? I would assume they're going to try and go long to a medium and then go on that medium till the end, maybe even a soft. That remains to be seen. For the most part here, just need to wait for everyone to pit. And Tess right now is net first after America pits. Let's be honest. Tess might even be able to go till the end on these hards if they manage them well. But it's going to be an interesting. You can take a look at it for sure. Only Ethan now comes in. Petrov stays out 1 lap longer than they probably should. We'll have to see how that plays out. That is a hard time for the Haas driver. And again, hard tires could potentially go long enough here. Yeah, if we take a look at the tire history, 17 laps for Bolo Molo at the moment. So going 20-ish laps, if you manage your tires well, is definitely doable here. So those who have pitted onto their hards might actually have done their final pit stops here. And if Petrov has a hard waiting, could still turn this around, but it remains to be seen. America is probably the best one off right now, I'm not going to lie. But it remains to be seen what they pit onto, in all honesty. Mola has done an interesting move here and pitted off those hards a little bit earlier than expected. Honestly, needs to be mentioned here, and gone for a soft tire. Soft tire for 20 laps is going to be rough, so Bolomola is basically taking another pit stop here. That is going to spice things up just a little bit. Remember earlier when I said Tess could go till the end? Tess is now just 5 seconds behind the leader, who just pits. This is going to be a medium waiting. Medium should be able to go to the end. It's a soft tire waiting, 15 laps. It's not doable. That's going to be rough. At least a clean stop here for the Gulf of America. Out in 7th after doing that, what should be their final pit stop. As I mentioned here, Tess now has caught up to Urara. Going to be a clean pass, or are they going to lose a lot of time here? Needs to just get by and start creating that gap to the Gulf. Is currently stuck behind a different driver, but just makes that overtake look so easy. And that did look like you crashed the castle section, but we'll let that one go. But yeah, Gulf America 11 seconds behind leaders here. Fresh softs should be able to close that gap pretty quickly, at least as long as Tess is just stuck behind that Red Bull. And look, just can't get the speed there, the speed differential there to get by. And if we take a look at the pace difference here, we're not going to get a first lap time because this is the first lap on these tires. But just 8 seconds behind now as Tess finally makes the pass. And Urara and Verstappen here could play a vital role in slowing down America. We will have to wait to see. Urara needs to pit. But apart from that, I think most cars here are going to try and get till the end, with the exception of Control and probably the Williams here. Maybe even Morton needs to pit again. We'll see. Petrov, down in 12th at the moment, is still reeling in the top drivers here. But it's going to be a rough time as Tannhauser has crashed. Full safety car. That changes things massively.
But here we are following the Alpine.
The Alpine has had an incident. Ooh,
That won't do their confidence any good.
You think? But yeah, Tannhauser there has just crashed out, ran directly into that wall. And that is one Alpine out here. And that is a blessing for Urara. Not gonna lie. Still gonna get shuffled down the order quite a bit here, probably behind Petrov. But we could see a lot of other cars pit as well. 15 laps to go, safety car. We could see basically everyone end up pitting again. The big winner here might actually be America. Test pits from the lead. Everyone is pitting. There's going to be a double stack from the Red Bulls. Oh, this could be really, really bad for them. Even if it is a safety car, America stays out. Not unsurprising. That's basically fresh tires. How long must the Red Bull wait here? Oh, this is going to be so painful because the other cars are coming in too. They're going to be blocking the pit lane. Petrov stays out here. Gambles is going to be in second. Urara comes out third. Tans in fourth here. Had a slow stop considering the Red Bull got out ahead. And we have Verstappen. Didn't lose that much then. Even with the problems here. Molo, OP drivers. Mort and Ethan, Luna, Suzuka. And then we have the rest here trying to pit. Going to be a huge change in positions, I don't think. As you can see, both Schumacher and Singh are close to getting lapped. Ferrari will hopefully have their recovery arc second half of the season. But America here staying out on those softs has definitely benefited them greatly. Petrov is going to have a hard time, I think, on these hards. But if the rest destroy their tires, there's still going to be a chance. Verstappen is not going to be loving this. It's probably going to be Urara versus America as things stand. So let's just get to the restart. We are getting ready here. The safety car is ending. And currently in the standings, as you can see here, America, Urara, OP drivers are the big winners here. Like and Creamer Duck are the ones that have lost a lot alongside Tannhauser. All in all, there isn't a huge change in positions right now, but we are getting ready for the restart of America here. 8% deficit in those tires. We'll have to see if that's going to make a difference here. And that is a great launch. Immediately leaves Petrov behind by nearly half a second. They'll get it back on the straights, I think. We'll have to see if these hard tires are going to be a curse or a blessing here right now. Because everyone is going to be pushing. If Petrov can just keep up and retain DRS to the car in front, that'll be all they need to do. Everyone is pushing everything they have, and Tess is already falling a little bit behind, nearly out of DRS as things stand. But it has been a clean restart here. There is 10 laps to go. Petrov now has lost that DRS. That might actually be what the Golf here needs to get this win. Because fastest lap goes away to Golf from America. And if Petrov blocks Urara here to the point where they cannot catch up, that is going to be really, really good for them. But Urara makes it by, but they've already lost 2 seconds. Those are going to be 2 seconds hard to reclaim here. And as you can see, 1.5 seconds slower on that first restart lap. Tez even further back here. That is also due to traffic, I dare say. And then we have the fence just being a bit annoying further back, just annoying the rest of the field. Urara, though, is making huge inroads into the lead already. Almost getting back into DRS here. Is back in DRS. Leaves Petrov behind. And with that, you see a fight between these two. Decides to wait. One more DRS zone to get that overtake done. And just flies by in the second one. These two are probably going to have their fight. And honestly, here, Tess could still get involved in this if, again, Petrov isn't going to be causing too many problems here. Because those soft tires, they're burning them really, really quick here. There's still 8 laps to go. And they've used, well, they've used 20% already. So this could get very, very interesting in the closing laps here. And just as I say that, we see Taz and America now having a squabble, and that is allowing Urara to get a little bit further up ahead. Verstappen has made it up to 4th. And with that, Petrov is now in trouble. Again, Those used tires are not doing them any favors. Everyone going to fresh ones probably should have just fitted, in all honesty. They opted to not do that. And now America and Tess are losing out to Aurora a little bit. Petrov again, creating gaps to the cars further behind. Bolo really, really wants to just get by and get going. But Mort there sneaks up past both of them. That's actually nuts. That is nuts from the Sauber driver. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually quite impressive from Mort here. And they even retain that lead as Petrov and Molo are squabbling a little bit further behind. Perez, America, and Verstappen are all trying to just reel in Aurora here. 6 laps to go. Still plenty could happen, and we'll speed this up just a little bit. As you can see, just as I sped that up, America now and Verstappen are just doing a 1v1, while Tess is chasing down the leader and gets that lead just like that. The soft tires might be a little bit too soft at the moment, and that is going to be a problem here, as Verstappen now also sneaks by the Golf. And yeah, those soft tires not doing them any favors. There's still 5 laps remaining, and they've used nearly all of them already. They need to take care of them now. If we take a look at the lap history here. Sorry. Yeah, we need the lap history, so I can actually take a look at the tire usage itself. And we take a look at, say, America here. They're using 7% a lap. 6 to 7% a lap at the moment. That gives you... that gives you, unfortunately, just 3 laps more usable tire. You'll get to the second, 2 laps remaining, and then your tires will look like they're going to explode. That is not a good position to be in, as even Molo Bolo moves up 1. And honestly, right now, Verstappen might be looking as a favorite at the moment. For the top 3 fight here, Ura, Tess, Verstappen, and then Molo is just trying to chase them down as a 3 squabble. Golf, still using a little bit too much tire, honestly. Mort is also looking to get into a good position here. Luna now is the one dragging the rest, and Petrov, who did start front, is now all the way down in 10th. Confidence absolutely destroyed, and it's not a good look for the Mercedes driver, not gonna lie. Tess here is going to try and secure a good points finish for McLaren alongside their teammate. But it's currently Red Bull versus McLaren. And McLaren takes the lead. Red Bull not letting Verstappen go and chase them down. As Urara is getting to that point too, where the tires are just getting a little bit too worn to really put up a fight here. And yeah, I was definitely wrong about the hard tires with just the high degradation. Hard tires was definitely a surprisingly good choice here for the AI with the high level degradation we've seen. So it definitely changes up things a little bit, which is kind of what we were looking for with that 30% tire degradation on the tires. Let's see what Verstappen can do. S is still trying to get away. Bolomolo is not really reeling them in anymore. Gained 8/10 last lap. Not really gaining anymore at the moment. Verstappen has been left behind a little bit. 3 laps to go here. Oh, we've had an incident. Verstappen has crashed. 3 laps to go. It's going to be a safety car. The race is going to end, very likely, under a safety car here, as Verstappen has crashed. Just spins out in that corner and whacks the car. That is going to be a costly crash. And that is, as I mentioned, just a full-on safety car here. Tess currently in the lead, followed by Urara, Molobolo, and then the Golf. Honestly, this safety car is saving the soft runners. I'm not even going to lie. 3 laps to go, you have 9% usable tire, 6% usable tire. Because remember, as soon as you drop below 30, you lose a lot of pace. Verstappen has a mechanical fault. Are you... Please, game.
They've got a fault with the car.
Why? Why would you add insult to injury? They got a fault with the car. Yeah, the car is... the car is a wreck. That's the fault of the car. It's a wreck. What do you mean? But yeah, as mentioned, this definitely saves some cars, and no one is pitting. It is going to end under a safety car here. Tess is going to get the first win of the season with a little bit of help from the safety car. Urara and America gets also a lot of help from the safety car. Safety car is ending, but you're not allowed to overtake until the line anyways. So, well, it is just how it's going to finish. Let's be honest here.
Sometimes.
And with that, as mentioned, we have the first win of the season here going Tess's way. Urara gets second, Bullamolo gets third, America gets fourth, and fastest lap, extra point there. And Petrov, not a great start to the season there, losing 8 places, but look at all the places gained for the rest of these fellas. And Suzuka scores the final point due to that crash, which is very unfortunate. Okay, couldn't really get much going off that initial crash here, but Tannhauser and Verstappen are the two biggest, well, unfortunate moments, I may say, so far this season. Constructors then, McLaren has a pretty commanding lead. 7 races to go. 3 more races until we switch drivers. Let's just jump into the next one. We are ready for qualifying in Australia, which will serve as our second race of the season. And unsurprisingly, it is raining. And it is going to rain some more. So since it looks like we are getting bank collapse on the second run, just going to get this one out of the way. Then we'll see where everyone stacks up. Now, personally, because again, we do have about 5 drivers that are around 50 rated. They're very likely to get knocked out here in Q1, so I'll let you know if there's any surprises. Unfortunately, I got distracted, but one of the big surprises of Q1 is that last race winner, Taz, is actually eliminated. Sorry, someone came knocking at my door and I forgot to press pause, and it did not feel right to do it again, but Taz here did end up getting knocked out in Q1, which is a little bit of a surprise, and the biggest surprise here is that Schumacher, again, this is a 52 rated driver. I checked the cars. Schumacher made it to 9th. Yeah. Yeah, Suzuka here is the only other kind of surprise getting getting out in Q1, not gonna lie. But at least the Australian themselves did not get eliminated in the first qualifying session. This one, the rain is going to get lighter and lighter towards the end, so it is going to be another one quality knockout. This time, I'll try and actually catch that last lap. So for the last lap here, we're actually getting to a level that's going to be very interesting because as you can see, it is already under 1 millimeter and it's getting drier. So potentially here, we could need to actually go out and try and set a dry lap. We might actually get knocked out here because I am very bad at judging the weather. We all know this. But as you can see, what? Oh, we have one. Soft tires, they're going for it. They're all going for it. I'm going to send Hopius out here. This should be enough of a gap that Rora will not get problematicized. But this is everyone going out on a soft tire with 50 millimeters left on track. Adaptability is going to be playing a huge part here. 1 lap shootout for Q2. Let's see how this one goes. Urara, the first car, trying to set some sort of lap time here. And again, it's a big no-no being first because it's still going to just keep on getting drier here. It's going to start raining in a minute. But is it going to rain enough that it's going to make a difference? No, it's still getting drier. It is a first purple sector. But again, everyone is just going to set past the purple sectors down the road because it is dry. You can see that from Aaron here. You can see that from Molo. So going first again is not a good thing. And is it Verstappen that is last? It is Verstappen that is last of the train. And it is a purple first sector for Verstappen. Urara here sets the time to beat by 4 seconds. So yeah, kind of gives you the idea that I do need to set another lap. Not surprisingly, Tannhauser is doing well. Bjorn Ethan goes second fastest. Who is the Mercedes driver? It's Control. Control goes faster than anyone right now. Then we have Aaron, and it's just going to be that same little shuffle where whoever sets the lap time is going to shove everyone else further down the order. Schumacher even goes faster than Ethan here. Petrov goes only third fast. That is not good enough. As I mentioned, Verstappen is going to be the last one, but currently there is some danger. America is out. Luna is out. Schumacher is out. And unfortunately, Urara here is going to be knocked out because we need to be a part of Q3. But that is just how things go here. Urara, Schumacher, the Ethan, America, Luna. As well as the man that I don't remember the name of right now. I'm sorry. I need to figure out who you are. Crashity? Yeah, Crashity. How can I forget good old Crashity? Out in Q2. Get Control here. I should go through, and I do believe Get Control is one of those interesting lower rated drivers, if I'm not misremembering. 59. So yeah. 59 rated, made it 3 into Q2. Never tell you that never let anyone tell you adaptability is completely useless. It's just in this specific scenario, it's really, really useful. Let's see how Q3 goes. Bankers are done here. Tannhauser has set the fastest lap as it is drying up a little bit here. But others are improving. Aaron improved to 4th as things stand. And for Mort, can they get those last 200s they need to take pole away? Duck here is improving, but not enough to make any difference up top, I dare say. Let's see what Mort can do. Can Mort steal pole from the Australian? Mort does not steal pole from the Australian. Duck does improve 1 position, but that is about it. It's not really getting any better out here. And Petrov is going to be trying to improve. Verstappen is going to try to improve, but it's not helping right now. And Petrov is not improving much either. So I think that is the final run here. Bolomolo is actually improving 1 position. But in essence here, they should have been a lot faster in their first run. As you can see, it's dried up quite a bit. Clearly that was not the case. Petrov in 8th as things stand. Tannhauser with, well, the creator of the driver, pole position at home. Fortunately for them though, it's not going to be raining at the race itself, as things stand. Yeah, that's not bad. Tannhauser in first. Then we have Morth. Avoid the OP drivers, the water control. Again, controller is 59 rated. I checked. Everyone's cars are still identical before this race, so that adaptability, I would assume, is taking a toll. But it's going to be clear skies at Australia here. Guess you didn't expect that, but that is what we're doing. And once again, we are just going to brake park firmly here and jump into the race itself. See what it has to offer. Did I just stupidly put the car part that I changed back on again? That would be a very me thing to do. But yeah, pit lane stuff for both of them. Let's just jump straight into this race. And we'll also take a look at the guys who crashed and see what damage they have. Lights out, away we go. That is a really, really good start for the soft tires, which you kind of expect. The driver here can't really get the move on. And there are some slight changes further down the order. Ura and Verstappen are running together as things stand. And it should be a good chill race for the time being. We are going to take a look though at, as I mentioned, the cars who crashed. If I remember which ones there were. Once we get to the end of this. But for now, clean start here in Australia. And for the most part, softs are in use. But we saw the hards be surprisingly good in Baku. We might see the same again. But what I want to take a look at here is Schumacher who crashed. Yeah, that is a gearbox that's going bye-bye pretty soon. Compared to their teammate, that's a lot of damage. What about Verstappen? Destroy their engine. They even put in a new gearbox for Verstappen here. So this is going to be a bit of a crutch for at least 1 or 2 more races, which is very unfortunate for Tannhauser. Destroy the gearbox, but that's literally the extent of the damage there. So kind of lucky. And the last one was the Duck, who, yeah, didn't have any major damage from the incident itself. But yeah, Verstappen here, that crashing back at the end really are going to be it's going to be costly. Let's see how it goes. There is a couple of gaps forming, but nothing major so far. Let's see how this first half of the race develops. 7 laps in here, and Schumacher has picked up some damage. We haven't had any messages of engine failures or of a crash, so I assume he's gone a little bit aggressive on a curb and probably picked up some underfloor damage, as we do see our first car hit here, and we are going to have basically pit mayhem now very soon. We'll have to see how that one goes for them. For the most part, the order is much of the same here. There's a couple of ups and downs. Ethan and Luna in particular has made some pretty good inroads. Mortis is being a little bit unlucky here, but it is a DRS train. Things can change. Control is just falling down the order now that they do not have water to help them out. And yeah, they're currently being sent to kind of where they belong stat-wise so far. We're looking forward to their comeback in the second half of the season. Verstappen's issues do not stop here, as they did have a slow pit stop onto those soft tires. Red Bull just not having a good time here, and for the most part everyone has now pitted. We're waiting for America, we're waiting for Duck to pit, but for the most part everyone else here has been into the pits at least once, and Urara too did not have a good stop, so Red Bull kind of cursed right now, and they are currently stuck behind the devil himself, Schumacher. American Duck comes in as the last of the front runners to pit here. Mort has already pitted once. They just eaten through the second set of tires, I do believe. Just going to check to be sure. Yeah, Mort has eaten these tires up in 5 laps. So, oh, we see damage on the Williams. I assume again it's underfloor damage from running over the curbs. Some tracks just attract this to bigger or lesser degree. But after the pit stop here, Petrov has made it up. Tannhauser had a bit of a slow one. Yeah, for the most part here, the Red Bulls really got punished by the stops. As things stand, it's still going to be a bit of a struggle here. You can see 5 cars just kind of all running together up front. And as I mentioned, even though Tannhauser lost positions, there's not really anything stopping them from getting it back. Pretty simple and straightforward. I'm curious to see how Aaron Water here is going to do with the hard tires. I can see it working very similarly to how it did in the last race here. And again, America down into 10th now after the pit stops that they went through. But the top 5 here are running together. They are going to cause problems for each other. It's a bit of a shame here that Williams picked up some damage pretty early, because we could definitely see some more incidents with how close they all are running. This is kind of what we wanted with the high dirty air setting, so it's nice to see. It's just a matter of time before something happens. Mort has just made their way out of the pit stops as we see a yellow flag here. Schumacher has Schumachered, and we have a full safety car. That is going to be really bad for Mort, who literally just pitted.
Let's take a look at the replay. Now let's take a look here at turn.
What did Schumi do here? Just lost it over the curb and destroyed that gearbox.
I imagine their confidence will have taken a knock.
I imagine the car has taken a knock. I imagine the car has taken a big knock, and that is Schumi out. Just like that. Yeah, Mort here, the biggest victim of that crime, aside from Schumacher themselves, as they had just pitted. Are we going to see anyone here actually come into the pit lane? I think we are. Let's see, as Petrov is going to be leading the gang here, and yeah, everyone just jumping into the pits. Luckily, no double stack, with the exception of the Hasses. America stays out, though, so that is not actually a problem. And Petrov is going to come out here in 4th. Luna also stays out. The RBs here winning massively. As I mentioned, Mort here, who pitted from the lead, is now down into 8th, with 4 cars ahead on fresh tires. That is not what you'd like to see. Verstappen and Urara, 12th and 13th. Another double stack from the Red Bull team. Not really helping them out at all. And at home, they're not going too well. But it's going to shake things up a little bit. Currently, in terms of gain positions here, America's up 11. Luna's up 11 as well. And yeah, that safety car was a little bit ill-timed. Tez is moving up. Roll is going down. But yeah, Tannhaus and Mort, both a little bit unlucky here. The timing of that car. And I can nearly guarantee that we're going to get a second one. On the safety car restart, we immediately have an incident here. As you can see, Haas has gone wide. And the floof, the fence floof, has assassinated them. Basically, the Haas, who was very lucky with the timing of that safety car, ended up locking up going to the first corner, and as a result of that, the fence here decided that we're taking you out. We are taking you out of this race, and with that, I can't see America making any more inroads into this. That is a damaged rear wing, that is a damaged suspension, damaged gearbox even, and another pit stop here because those tires got absolutely destroyed. That is incredibly unfortunate, but I can't help but laugh at the fact that the Floof clone went wide himself and took him out. That is very, very unfortunate. But with that now, Petrov has moved up into lead ahead of the RBs. The softs and medium tires doing a little bit of work here. But the hards will be, hopefully, do a little bit of a comeback later on. We'll have to see. We also see Tess here having picked up a little bit of damage. This is, again, just underfloor damage from running over the curbs. Verstappen's pain and misfortune continues here. Mechanical failure for the RB driver, who is currently still trying to chase up to both the other RBs, so to speak. Petrov is currently in lead at the halfway point, followed by OP drivers and Tannhauser as well as Molo, who are currently fighting. Mort is still in this, thanks to safety car and crash. Cremated Duck is chilling behind them again. But we are getting to the point now where the soft runners will need to pit again, and with the field being as close as it is, they're going to end up behind Singh when they do pit. They're going to be sent all the way to the Shadow Realm. They're going to have to navigate all of these cars. And we've seen so far that navigating these cars is not easy. And you might very well end up with damage to the point where OP drivers goes around again, even as they hit that 30% mark. Do they have hard tires remaining, though, is going to be the big question here. They've used one set of hards. And then the safety car came out and kind of shafted them. Petrov has hards remaining, but can you make those hards go nearly 30 laps? That's going to be difficult. So most likely everyone still has 2 stops remaining as things stand. And we might even see a puncture here for Williams if they're not careful. Because one more lap will do it. One more lap will lead to a puncture for this Williams car. You better jump into the pit lane. And they do just that alongside Duck and Luna. What is awaiting? Another soft tire. As I mentioned, as they pit here, they're going to be sent to Shadow Realm. I just saw one car face to another. It's OP drivers facing to Luna. And Duck here jumps them in the pit lane, which is kind of good for them. As Proof comes out here on Medium's tire. Medium's tire? Medium tires. 3 soft tires, 1 medium. But as I mentioned here, the rest are going to need to pit soon too. Petrov is going to be the next one, and if they go around again, that is going to be a high chance of a puncture. And they do go around again. Instead, Molobolo comes into the pit lane alongside Urara and Aaron. And that's the slow stop. Slightly slow there for the McLaren. That's not what they needed. It's a medium for the RB. What about the cursed Red Bulls? It's a soft tire. But again, traffic here is going to be interesting, honestly, because the soft tires are going to be quicker than the cars ahead of them. Well, they are undercutting. But it's hard to say if the AI is going to go for 1 stop or 2 stops. Everyone who goes on a soft is going to need another one. Just no questions asked. But if someone has a medium or a hard remaining, they could do something interesting. And Petrov actually survived another lap with ease. And that is hard for Petrov. That is going to be an attempt at going 25 laps, I think, on those hard tires. Tess is also in here. Verstappen is in. Tess is out on a medium. I mean, mediums can make the distance, but they're going to have to manage them. And for the most part, it is soft tires Yeah, this is going to make things a little bit interesting here. Anas is going to try and go as long as they can, alongside Moore, Tsuzuka, and Ethan. Control now up in 5th, alongside Singh. And these guys could be... It could be problematic to pass, that's the thing. Anas actually comes into pit right now. It is a soft tyre and 24 laps to go. It's a slow one for Alpine. That is basically committing to another stop. And that is 3 cars that got out ahead because of that slow stop. We've probably been out ahead of Luna if not for it. So, yeah, they're kind of committing to another stop here. It's just full-on madness. Let's speed this up a little bit and see what happens further down the order. Because, again, Ethan, Controller, unfortunately, they don't have what it takes to win. Unless, you know, they get blessed. Ethan now down into 15th on a soft tire. Control, again, it's just going to be a problem to pass. That's the thing. Like, Control here, it's just slowing everyone down, giving the others a little bit of breathing space. And right now, again, Luna just pitted. OP drivers just pitted, and they're going to have to pit again. Petrov might not even need to pit again at this rate. So, yeah, it's going to be a very open-ended end here. 22 laps to go. Luna has just pitted again, and I did not show you that because we got the epilepsy warning, basically. Yeah, that is medium tires till the end here. And with the gap being 24 seconds, if they can close up to Crashity here, they might actually get into a position where they can undercut everyone up ahead, because everyone will need to pit again, even Petrov, I'm pretty sure. That could change things up quite drastically as Petrov sneaks up into 2nd. But Mortier has been managing their tires for dear life, still out there on those hards. If we look at the tire history here, Mort has stretched those for 22 laps. Petrov is on 8 laps, but it is definitely possible to manage these tires till the end if you try to do it. But clearly Petrov is not right now, gaining over a second a lap here. The question is going to be, again, can Luna close enough that she will undercut everyone? And look at that, it's basically already there. If you look at the time considerations, you hit 19 seconds for a pit stop. 20 seconds right now. Needs to gain 1 second, get by Crashity, and that is going to be it. Mort now pits. Most likely to retain the lead without being undercut. Let's hope for a clean stop. It's a medium tire that waits. It is a clean stop for the Sauber driver. Exactly what they needed. Now where is Luna? Flying down the main straight, but fortunately, still behind Mort here. They are basically side by side, but the undercut has been avoided. And now Mort will be able to undercut, again, everyone ahead. We see Molo, we see Verstappen here. Very used soft tires, potentially getting to the level of a puncture. Verstappen does get a puncture. The curse has taken full hold here after the crash in Baku. And we have Duck and OP Driver coming in now to pick up new tires. It's a soft. Sorry about the epilepsy. Sorry about that. Bolo Bolo now. Also pitted. Crashity is pitted. Verstappen is still stuck in the pit lane. Yeah, Luna now. They need to clear on Ethan, Urara, Suku. Because this is a... The thing is, because this is a train, it's hard to pass. And you can kind of see it here. Luna has passed Mort. But at the same time, they're not making any inroads. They're just fighting each other rather than getting by and taking that back. Mort repasses as Aaron Warden now comes in along with Ethan. That's going to make their jobs a lot easier. Yeah, Petrov's going to need to pit again. No chance about it. It's a soft tire for the Haas driver. What about Aaron? It's another soft tire for them. They're just going to go till the end now. And with the top 5 still needing to pit. Petrov just barely hanging on as things stand. It's going to get interesting. We could have another safety car be the decider here. Petrov is just praying for that safety car to appear out of nowhere. And right now, again, it's a train of fresh and used tires as Urara steps away. Hans does another one, holding up Mort a little bit more. Is it going to be sadness for the Red Bull? Kind of clean, kind of slow. And what is Morth going to do now? Tess again. Just a final line of defense for Tannhauser and Petrov, who both, again, don't need to pit again. Control and Poof do, as well as Floof. Aaron has ran wide. That's actually our second incident of running wide this season. Kept it clean. And Mort has finally found some freedom. And it's now just going to charge away. And that should give Luna some freedom too. Tannhauser now. Pits. 12 laps. Soft tire. Tess comes into pit lane. Clean stop for Tannhauser. Tess gets a clean one as well. What about... Sorry. The Alpine epilepsy warning is back. It's a slow stop for Suzuka. That's all we need to know, really. The Tannhauser, fresh tires, out behind OP Driver, and Duck is going to have a little bit of work cut out of them here to get back into a podium slot. But if they can clear OP Driver, they might even be able to clear Petrov once she pits. So we'll have to see how this goes. Luna and Mort are going to be fighting this one till the end of the race. Tannhauser is just trying to make something happen. Again, Tess here in 7th, but look at the army behind. Trying to take away that 7th place. They're not gonna let go of it without a fight. Let's be honest. That is going to be an insane battle right there. And Tannhauser does make it by. And should be able to undercut Petrov right now. Which will be important. Let's just put it like that. Need to gain 3.5 seconds to Duck, and then another 4 seconds up to the podium places. These two are still fighting. There's fights happening down the track as well. Anything can still happen. 11 laps to go here. Petrov stays out for another one.
Now this is where the RB driver's involved.
As mentioned, 2nd and 3rd are fighting, and as a result here, Luna actually runs wide and loses a little bit of time. Not a lot. But it is enough that someone else can get into this mix. As you can see, Duck is catching up, Tannhauser is catching up. And with 10 laps to go, they are burning these mediums. Potentially a little bit too much here. They might even need to pit again at this rate. And that would be really, really disappointing for their teams. With how aggressively they've burned their tires, Duck now has actually caught up to both of them. And is now up into 3rd. The cremated Duck here is getting into this in a big way. Tannhauser still 2 seconds down the road, but with the battles here, we could see that gap close pretty quickly. Unfortunately, Tess is not managing to do anything here, but has been able to give the rest a slip here as they're just battling too aggressively behind. And Petrov is just going to try and gamble here. Just going to try and stay out, I think. Because if they do pit, they're going to end up down by Aaron, or they pit now and just go full send for the rest of the race. That's really the only other thing I can see. This is gambling on a safety car in a bad way, to the point where you are going to get a puncture and end up losing the race due to that. Tannhauser now, after squabbling with OP Driver, is just falling behind, not really getting that gap. Look at that, lost 2 seconds in that last lap compared to the cars ahead. They are now in trouble. But Petrov, 23.6. If Petrov slows down these three, we could see more of a fight for the podium places. So this could get very, very interesting. Just 5 laps to go here. And Petrov is still just keeping them at bay. Could we see 3 wide into the corner? We are seeing 3 wide into the corner. And Mort comes out as the big winner, I do believe. No, they're still going 3 wide. Mort ends up falling all the way back. But again, look at the time lost here to the cars further behind. They lost nearly 3 seconds to OP Driver and Tannhauser. And Petrov is still ahead. Petrov is just being a menace right now. And the only thing that is lacking from this fight is just straight up picking up a puncture for the Mercedes driver. They're not making it till the end of this race. It's not happening. This is stubbornness at its peak level. We're staying out. We are gambling. And we're now in puncture territory. Now we are in puncture territory as the other cars are catching up. And there we go. The puncture is a fact. Is it going to slow down the rest? Tannhauser now, an OP Driver, due to that puncture, has gotten into this mix. But because Petrov punctured just as they cross the finish line, that is going to result in 0 points and some magic here to dodge that. And Ethan gets blocked, Aaron gets blocked, Molo gets blocked. Everyone is just getting a little bit of blockage right now, as Luna is leading this race with just a few laps to go. 5-way battle for the win. 3 cars with, well, 2 cars with some damage. I don't remember if Luna has some, but we'll have to see. And the best tires right now belong to the Williams. Anasa is getting dropped a little bit. Further down the track, Tess is just still chilling on their own. Aaron and Ethan are squabbling alongside Molo and Crashity with Urara for that last point. We'll be keeping our eye though at the fight for the win as things stand. A 5-way fight. Could we have a 5-way crash? Give Tess an unlikely win here. Honestly, with how close they've been running this entire time, it would not surprise me if we had a small lockup somewhere. 2 laps to go now. Tires are getting worn quite a bit. Does anyone have anything else here? As Petrov now has gotten fresh tires, but is all the way at the back. Duck and Luna. Mort, Tannhauser, OP Driver. Anyone have anything gain an edge on the rest? Any edges to be gained here? Are we going to see more 3 wide into the corners? Maybe. Tannhauser up into 3rd. Final lap is about to get underway here. Luna Drift in the lead for the time being, but that might be very, very short time as Mort takes the lead now. Tannhauser 3rd, Duck 4th. We have OP Driver 5th, followed by Taz and Molobolo, who's fighting Ethan and Aaron further back. Crashity is trying to survive against Aurora, then Suzuka, Verstappen, Control Poof, America, who's had that unfortunate incident early on, Singh, Petrov, and then Floof. But the question is now, who is going to win? Is Morth going to have just enough here to hold off the cars behind? And right now, it does seem like that is the case. Luna is a half second down as we enter the DRS zone. Is the DRS going to be enough here to catch up? Is the DRS going to be enough to get a launch into that final corner? Doesn't look like it. Maybe. Do you have what it takes? Are you brave enough on the brakes? You are. Look at that. Side by side. Mort gets a better launch though with a little bit of a tire advantage. And I think that is going to be it, unfortunately. Luna has nothing else. Are we going to see a drag race now to the line? Could anyone take this away? Mort is going to get the win here, I do believe. Followed by Luna, followed by Tannhauser, Duck, and OP Driver. Tess should be safer in 6th, followed by Aaron, and then we have Ethan versus Molo. Seems like that one is a settled dispute right now. And then Crashity secures the final points here. And with that, Australia is over and done with. But we do have a safety car deployed, so I assume someone is parked somewhere. Yeah. Someone ran out of fuel. A Mercedes, that is. But as long as it's off the race, the game does not care. So yeah, Luna here with a really good recovery drive. Same can be said from Taz. A little bit of disappointment here from Tannhauser, OP Drivers, Bolo, and Water. But the most disappointment here probably again goes to Parker, fortunately. Drivers then, Mort takes the lead in the championship, followed by Taz. Then we have Luna, who moves up to 3rd, Orion 5th, who drives 15th. Tannhauser finally scores some points in the home race. And with that, I think they can be really, really happy. Constructors then, McLaren retains the lead, but Sauber and RB move up. Red Bull moves down. RB moves up, Haas moves down after that. Very unfortunate incident. With that said, that was the 2nd race done. Let's jump into the 3rd one. We are now in Vegas, and one of the big surprises here of Q1 is that the Gulf of America is currently at risk of getting eliminated. So we'll have to see if they can recover. Currently, both Schumacher and Singh are safe-ish, which is also a bit of a surprise. But since it is Vegas, we'll have to see if there's any improvements here. Poof could not improve from the outside here, and as you can see here, the Golf is already more than a second faster around this lap. This is basically going to be the main source of an upset. Most of these others do kind of belong here, no lie. Let's see if the Gulf of America can get through, or if these three cars are going to slow them down enough that they do not actually make it through. It's a double Alpine violence, but yeah, not enough. Singh instead gets pushed down. With that, I do believe that we have our eliminations. No, Floof actually eliminates Mort. That's a bit of a upset. Mort's been doing pretty well. Mort is also on a fast lap, but there is traffic, and traffic is bad. Duck is currently in the process of improving. Let's see if Mort and Duck here can improve. I think they both should be able to. Duck just improves enough here. And for Mort, it looks so slow. Are you going to be eliminated by slow drivers up front? You are. Mort has been terminated by a very, very slow, I believe it was a McLaren. I'm a little bit uncertain. Mort here has been knocked out in Q1 as a result. We start out Q2 here with a bit of an incident. The Duck has crashed on turn 5. Cremated Duck here starts off Q2 with a fairly avoidable crash and some minor damage to the front wing there. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. We are getting to the end of Q2 here, a minute to go, and currently Crash the Urara, Polo Molo, Tannhauser, Ethan, and Schumacher are all in danger. Schumacher is still on an outlap here, and with 40 seconds to go, and blocking that RB, that's going to be a complaint there. And Ethan is out. But yeah, Schumacher is currently blocking the RB of Aaron. But Aaron should be fine, so I don't think that one will be a big problem. Can Crashly and Urara here get out of danger? Urara moves 4th quickest. What about Crashly? 5th quickest. And with that, Duck and Verstappen are out. That's a bit of an upset there. Verstappen had a really, really good first race until, well, the accident, so to speak. Is Taz going to be potentially knocked out by their teammate? Taz has been knocked out by Bolo Molo. Some upsets here at Vegas, and Tannhauser now still in danger. Could knock out Gulf of America, could knock out Luna. Well, really only the Gulf. I do not imagine Schumacher is going to improve enough. And Tannhauser does not improve enough. Lacks 0.02 of a second. Schumacher ends up 15th. That is a very, very small gap to survive on. But Tannhauser, Tess, Verstappen, Duck, Schumacher, and Ethan out in Q2. We are getting to the end here of Q3. Last run for everyone. Currently, OP Driver is the one on pole, followed by Molo Bolo or Bolo Molo. Luna, the Golf, Urara, Aaron, Silent Suzuka, I believe. Yeah, Crashly, Petrov. Just had to doubt myself there for a second. And basically, let's see who ends up on pole and who ends up being sad. For now, it is an improvement in the first sector. Not so much in the second one, but Luna is the first car out, so we'll have to see if it is good. It should be competitive, all things considered. Bolo here with a purple first sector. A 10th off pole right there. Urara up next. Cross the line, up into 3rd. Again, a 10th off. Going to be very interesting to take a look at Molobolo's time. And America is unfortunately already 4/10ths down in that first sector. Had probably a bit of an incident. And we have Suzuka here. Following Molobolo is setting purples all around. Is the McLaren going to take pole here? Oh, that is quite a commanding run. And Suzuka, not bad. 3rd place as things stand. Can America improve somewhat ahead of Urara maybe? Let us see. No improvements over there. Aaron looks to be in that very same boat. Honestly, the rest do. Petrov is the only one that is setting up a bit of a competitive time here. A 10th off pole as things stand going into the final sector. Are we going to see an upset here? OP Drive is also setting lap times. 2nd fastest there from Petrov. What can Williams do? Are we going to see a last second upset here? Probably made it just in time to get going on this lap. It's a competitive time. Again, same as Petrov here. Just need to find a 10th in that final sector, which is very, very difficult. But should be, yeah, 3rd place. Polo with pole position, followed by Petrov, OP Driver, Suzuka, Luna, Urara, America Aaron, and then we have Crashity. Bit of a surprising 9th place in qualifying. They'll take that for sure. Now, the way that this is set up, there is going to be 4 races of a season that has wet weather. And the way that I do it is that I random roll. That random roll has chosen Vegas, so I pray for everyone's safety. But yeah, 4 races a season are going to be wet, 4 qualifiers are going to be wet, and I do dice rolls to decide which ones, and also how bad the weather's going to be. Again, more chaos that way, which should be more fun. But we are going to have heavy rain here in Vegas, so let's see how this, well, messes with the grid. And here we are. We are ready for the race start, and we're starting on inters for everyone. Lights out, away we go. That is a pretty much equal start for the 1-2ers. They are retaining where they are. It's a great start for Suzuka against the run here on OP drivers. Question is, can they hold that position, or are they going to be overtaken here? Could not hold on to it, but at least they gave it a good go. And with that, we are off to the races here. Now, I'm not going to give you the weather prediction because that is going to be a little bit boring. But for the most part here, it has been a very, very clean start. Let's see if the adaptability drivers gets a chance to shine, because this is Vegas. So even with into tires, because of the long straights, there should be chances of getting overtakes done. So a bit of an interesting situation is currently unfolding here. Petrov has taken the lead, and Bolo Molo is quite a lot slower. I don't believe they had any sort of incident here, but if Petrov is now going to be able to gain a second or two a lap on Bolo Molo as a result of that overtake, that is going to quickly turn into a massive advantage. But it seems like there potentially was a little bit of blocking during the pass. Maybe that is it, because currently they are very similar in terms of their lap times. But this, again, could be a chance for Petrov to break free a little bit, particularly with the 2 squabbling behind. But for the most part, people are where they started. And if you take a look at the session here, for the most part, not a lot of movement. Ethan is made to have 4 places, which is huge for him. But apart from that, it's 1 or 2 places up or down. So we'll sit tight. It's going to start with some heavy rain in 3 minutes, which should spice things up. Immediately, OP drivers here have caught up to Petrov. So I think Molo might be struggling a little bit on the with the wet weather here. And it didn't take long before we got our first virtual safety car here. It is Luna, who has binned it into the wall on turn 3. That looks pretty violent, all things considered. Was there any... Ooh. That is very much unfortunate, but we do have our first retiree from this race, and it is Luna. A bit of a spinning incident, but with a virtual safety car, it's not going to change the race much at all. We are in the wet territory though, so we'll have to see if anyone does actually jump in for wet tires here with this. It looks like they are staying out, which should kind of tell us that it is going to dry up pretty quick, and we can already see it based on the rain. But for the next 5 minutes here, it's going to be very interesting, because again, now adaptability comes into play. You're on the wrong tire for the occasion. So any driver with high adaptability that does not get held up by someone else is going to have a field day. And we'll have to see if we see any of that. Mort might actually be one of them. Bunch of free air. I don't remember every driver's stats, unfortunately. Wish I had stat cards, would make my life a little bit easier. But it is already drying up again. And Mort did have quite a lot of pace, the quickest one. So that fresh air is definitely helping, and not being slowed down by the weather, which is good for them. But it is drying up right now. We're going back into inters. I think, not before long, we're actually going to go back to dry tires. So the question is, can everyone survive until then? We've had another incident here. It is Mike, unfortunately, with an Alpine that he's messing with there. Just skirts the wall a little bit. With that, I believe that is some major damage from wing. Half of it is broken off. And with that, we are most likely going to see an early pit stop here to get that fixed. But it is going to dry up within the next 10 laps is the current status. You can already see that. And with that, they might opt to just stay out and try and make it till that point. OP Driver and Petrov are still running 1-2, just struggling. Olo is holding off the rest out of America. Suzuka Crashity is doing well as well. Aaron had that little bit of bad luck, let's put it like that. Followed by Ura, Tess, and Ethan is holding on to that last point. Currently defending like a lion against Tannhauser. So we are at least getting some fights even in the wet here. We're now getting closer and closer to an interesting period that is going to shape the rest of the race, and that is the swap to drying tires. The rain has left the track, so to speak. Petrov and OP Driver are still squabbling. But in terms of the gaps here, it's not actually a huge gap, all things considered. It's just 3 seconds down to Bolo, 7 seconds to America, then 10 to 15 for the remaining point scorers, which, again, could cause a little bit of mayhem when it comes to pitting. Luckily, no team has a teammate really, really close to each other, with the exception of the Ferraris, but let's face it, they will become very dangerous later on. But right now, they are just there for cheerleading purposes. The DRS has been enabled. We do have a track now that is rapidly drying, and that is going to affect race in some way. It looks like we still have one more lap until people start pitting. Never mind, we do have Tannhauser here being aggressively first with pitting onto a hard tire. And this is Vegas. A hard tire should last, in theory, till the end here. You can do a medium to hard one-stopper. The question is just, do they have the smoothness to make this work? We could still see another pit stop, even if everyone goes to a hard tire. And the question here is, how much can you undercut in a lap or two? It's just a 17-second pit lane time loss here. So for Tannhauser, it's basically just back into the points if they can make this work. Medium tire here for Poof is probably not the best option I've ever seen, but we'll let it go. Track is still drying. Are we going to see the leaders come into the pits now? Or are they staying out for another one? No, everyone now is coming into the pits. This is where the fun begins. Who is going to get destroyed by the pit question here? And honestly, Tannhauser might actually get into a really, really good position purely due to how the pits work out there. And Petrov is out first. OP Drive is going to come out third, being jumped by Molo in the pits. America retains fourth. Suzuka is fifth. But look at Tannhauser just jumping up the order here. And it's going to be a bit respectful here to Taz. Never mind. Jump straight up to 7 ahead of Taz, who goes for a medium tire. Duck has gone for a soft tire. That is lunacy, locking in that extra stop here. And I think Verstappen did have a pit stop issue, just been cursed this season. And with that, they are down into 14th. After the first round of pit stops, the order remains as such. Petrov and Bolomolo have switched swap positions from the start. OP Drive is still third. America is moving up alongside Tannhauser, Taz, and Ethan here. Biggest unfortunate moments are Aaron, Verstappen, Schumacher, and of course Luna. So not really a whole ton of swaps here, all things considered. But with a dry track right now, they'll just have to try the best to keep it on track and not crash. And as to say that, we have a yellow flag. Who's caused some incidents right now? Nothing? No one? Looks like just a lock-up there from the Williams driver.
This was the fourth corner. Very heavy on the brakes, and hopefully
That's a lot of time lost. Where did they end up? They're still in third. I feel that recovery would take more than 2 seconds, but hey, you do you game. Maybe got a little bit lucky. That did cost about 10% of durability, and that is going to hurt long term here. Better right now, still retains the lead. Bolomolo, OP Drivers in America, and then we have a small DRS train. Thanos has actually been left behind a little bit here. Needs to put in some work, but for now, we are literally just going to allow them to race and see how things look once we get a little bit closer to what I assume will be another set of pit stops. We've had another incident. We have a full safety car here. America, and also, I believe, Taz has had a bit of a get-together down the main straight here. Well, one of the long straights. Oh, did the Red Bull survive that? Taz and America has had violence. Both of them are out. Herrera survived, but has picked up some sort of damage. Was definitely involved somehow. And that is really, really unfortunate for both of them who had a bit of a recovery drive. Yeah, what damage did you suffer? Rear wing. And of course, it's a mechanical fault for America. Just insult to injury. But this could also have ended Urara's race because that rear wing damage is not good. I would have liked to see that from a different angle again to just see what happened. But we've already seen Schumacher and Singh all take advantage here. And Tess is going to start with a penalty next race, unsurprisingly. A full 10 seconds. And everyone is pitting under the safety car now. Do they have another hard, or is it going to be medium till the end? Looks like it's going to be medium till the end. Clean stop for Petrov. What about Molo? Clean stop. E-driver. Another clean stop. It's a double stack from the Alpines. That's going to hurt Tannhauser quite a bit. But at least both stops are clean. Urara out in 4th at the moment. Suzuka in 5th. Crashedy in 6th. And we have Duck, Ethan, Tannhauser, and then Aaron finishing off the points here. Duck actually might have made a masterstroke here by going to the soft tire, but because it did allow them to have a hard tire available for this. So maybe they saw it coming, who knows? But that is going to be really, really helpful for them. 18 laps to go here. And in terms of places gained or lost, Duck and Ethan currently are having a very good time, as well as more than control. Love to see if this, pays off. But yeah, a bit unlucky there with the crash. But for now, we'll allow this safety car to just run its course. And we'll see if anything interesting happens on the restart. We've had another incident, not on the restart, a little bit later. And it is Schumacher who's decided that he does not like his Ferrari car much. And just skids the wall a little bit. But with 10 laps to go here, we have Bolomolo leading the charge ahead of Suzuka and Petrov. And we have OP drivers. Ethan still doing some good work. Crashedy, Aaron, Urara, Duck, and Tannhauser. It's just a 10-car DRS train right now. So we'll have to see who makes a mistake and who manages to make it till the end here. Still 10 laps to go. Reminder, they had 18 laps to go when they pitted, and they've already used 40% of, the usable tire. So right now, they're using more tire than they should, which could definitely help out Duck here down the line. But it is also a bit of a concern for if they can even make it till the end without getting any punctures. And we can kind of see the result of that with some cars further back electing to pit early. So, yeah, this could get very, very interesting. Here we even see Tannhauser coming into pit alongside Singh and Mort. They've decided that with 6 laps to go, it's best to get some fresh rubber on. And if they're already doing that, then we can almost guarantee that the others are going to do it too. Floofy now going to be the next, problem. Top 3, top 7 at this point are still just running in one DRS train, but Petrov will need to pit and Ethan will need to pit. And honestly, the rest stay with 50%. They can kind of survive. They're going to be living dangerously. We'll have to see just how quick these fresh softs are going to be and if they can make up that 17 second gap from pitting. Petrov now comes in along with Ethan. Tannhauser made it past their, first stop there. Soft tires for Petrov, clean stop. Ethan looks to be another set of soft tires. Is it going to be a clean stop? It is. And Petrov here out in 10th, right behind Tannhauser. And Ethan is going to have a couple more problems to deal with before they get up to the front again. But all things considered, 16 seconds now up to the lead. And again, I do believe Urara is going to need to pit again. Unless they really, really manage their tires, it's going to be very likely to get a puncture. And to some degree, it's going to be the same story for the rest here. So what we are going to be keeping an eye on is Tannhauser and how quickly they can reel in escapees here. And with Petrov helping, it's going to happen. They're nearly 3 seconds left. Well, a little bit less, but up to 3 seconds left quicker. And as I mentioned here, Urara would need to pit again. Just unfortunate, but it is the reality. And unfortunately, the saved hard tire here, due to the traffic, has not turned out to be an advantage. Can Petrov get through the cars up ahead? That's going to be the challenge. Even if you're getting 3 seconds a lap here, it's just 4 laps to go. You don't really have enough time to make this count. You need to clear everyone effectively, and they do need to battle in a way that slows each other down, basically, at this point. 3 seconds gained on the lead on that last lap. Further up, they are indeed battling, but just, again, they're not battling enough to make huge inroads here. 3 laps to go. 6 seconds. 3 seconds a lap. It can be done, but traffic is going to be a menace here. And more than 3 seconds again in that last one, which is huge. And here we see what I was talking about. The more these guys squabble, the better for Petrov, the better for Tannhauser. But here, Petrov needs to just clear this car immediately with no problems, and does kind of do that. But again, time not on their side. Needs to get those moves done quick. Like, really quick. Here we go. Are we going to see any moves into this corner? Looks like it. Might even get a double. Yeah. Top 5 still running. Basically together. Duck is getting in there too now. And Petrov will be getting in it on probably the final lap. We'll have to make a lot of overtakes though, but with the tire advantage, could make that happen. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. And we could see a Sauber podium here with Crashity. That would actually be quite impressive. Petrov now has caught up to the back of the pack. 6 cars ahead. How many can you pass? Should hopefully get one before the DRS zone. But they're going to go full send right now, so that's going to make it a little bit difficult. Equal machinery, just tire advantage right now. There is a change in the lead, and look at them, nearly 3 wide there. No passes on the first DRS chance here for Petrov. Going to make this a lot harder. But we are hitting the 30% cliff where they will start slowing down even more. But I don't think it's going to be enough. It's just too many cars to pass. We'll have to see here. Who is going to take the win in Vegas? It is 5 cars in the running. Crashity currently in the lead. OP Driver not giving up though. They're running side by side. And they are still side by side. No real passes here for Petrov, unfortunately. Either for Tannhauser, who's also caught up. Right now, Crashity is leading going into that last DRS zone, which could become a double-edged sword. As Bolo Molo has snuck up the inside, blocked in OP Driver, and takes the lead. That's actually kind of wild. Molo Bolo in the lead right now, ahead of Suzuka. Crashity, Suzuka, OP Driver, Duck, Tannhauser, Aaron, and Petrov, who's somehow fallen back to 8th. What happened? But Bolo Molo here wins, followed by Crashity, Suzuka, OP Driver, Duck, Tannhauser, Aaron, Petrov, Verstappen, and then Mort. Bit of a surprise, all things considered, but probably something they will kind of accept, let's be honest here. It could have gone way worse. Take a quick look then at the standings, and then we'll get into the last race before we do the driver swap. Yeah, Bolo Molo, starter pole, wins. Crashity moves up 7 places, Duck up 8. Good race for them. Petrov, even though did have those fresh tires, couldn't really make it count, which is very, very unfortunate. And in the drivers then, we do have Bolo Molo moving up 5 places, take the lead ahead of Mort and Taz. Looks like the McLaren team is going to be tough to beat here, but Sauber, surprisingly competitive. Don't lie, they're not that far behind, honestly. With that said, we're just going to jump into the next race, which is Brazil, if my memory do not fail me. Brazil qualifying is off to a blast here, with Duck doing a little spin to win. Luckily, nothing too serious. However, it is also going to rain here. And I'm surprised it's going to rain for the race itself, because it's 2 sets of drivers. So 2 of the first races, 2 out of the 4 first races are going to be red, and the same for the second half. Again, they're randomly rolled. But the race here, the qualifying is going to be wet here, and it is actually getting wetter right now, which means that most likely we're going to see Aaron sing Floof and Poof, along as well as Control, out in Q1. We'll have to see if it dries up towards the end, as expected, but it's going to have to do that pretty quickly. So currently we have a little bit of a problem here. Hopius is on a lap around here, but it is an in lap because it is drying up, and some of the other cars here would be blocked if I didn't do this. So we're just going to have to gamble on improvements not being big enough, but I don't think that's going to be a safe bet here. So we just need to try and send our car out last to not mess with, well, you guys. Currently, we do have cars set on outlaps, including both McLarens. Currently, Crashity, who is in danger, alongside OP drivers still in the pit. America, who just left the pits. Urara, who is trying to improve. Duck, who just left. And Schumacher, who also just left. All of them are trying to improve, but I don't know where a good place would be to send out me boy. I think it would be after the... reconfigured to be safe. I think it would be after the McLaren here. That would be our best bet. And it should give us just about enough time here that we can make it basically around the track. That's going to be my gamble here, as Urara goes quicker than we did. And again, the concern is that I will get knocked out. So apologies for not giving full attention to the rest here. We're also going to take manual control. We're going to go standard and push. And this is to ensure that we do not block a car behind us. Let's see what Crashity can do. And I need to try and micromanage it, two things at once. And even Crashity goes faster. As you can imagine, that would be a bit of a problem. And I'm trying to avoid being a problem, as we do see now. Some McLaren's trying to get out of danger. One does, second does. And at this point, we go full attack and we do deploy. Eskazat's danger knocks down Tannhauser and Mort, who are both trying to improve here. We're going to see some pretty aggressive changing of the orders as we go. Both Mort and Tannhauser gets out of danger. What can America do here? Schumacher is out, which is not unsurprising. Honestly, America, how fast will you go? You only go 8 fastest. That's probably not going to be enough, as Duck goes slightly slower. But that kind of tells us that both McLarens have been knocked out here, as Verstappen goes fastest, and Ethan unfortunately does not improve. And with that, I think most of the drivers actually are done. So with that, Tsuka, Tez, Molo, and Ethan, OP driver, and Schumacher out in Q2. And again, these are some of the cars that were competitive last time around. That is going to make things a little bit interesting here. Yeah, Q3 now up on the horizon. We are currently in Q3 here. The banker laps have been set. However, they were set with quite a lot more water on the track, signified here by Ura immediately getting a purple first sector, and then immediately having it taken away by Mort. Currently, Mort, Petrov, Luna are top 3. Mort then runs wide. That's not what you want on your hopefully quickest lap around here.
And wide they go, leaving the racing line.
Technically, that would invalidate the lap, but that's not how this game works, so Mort is still okay, I think. Probably just lost half a tent, maybe. Urara with another purple middle sector, but all in all, everyone is really, really close to each other. Mort, yeah, purple middle sector. Urara goes quickest, improves the pole position time by a couple of tenths there, and Mort immediately takes it back. But look at this, Tannhauser, Verstappen, both of them are going to be looking at taking that pole position away. And currently, Tannhauser has accomplished that before it was rudely taken away from them. What can Petrov do? Third fastest. America, what can you do? Duck goes 6th fastest. America goes 2nd fastest. With that, we have a Verstappen pole, followed by America, Tannhauser, and Petrov. And we have more to run a little bit wide, and again, probably cost them half a tenth to a tenth for that one. Urara, Duck, Crashity, and Luna. And here we go. We are ready for a wet Brazil race here. The classic, if you will. Here we go. Verstappen on pole has a decent enough start and retains their position. Petrov is actually moving up on Tannhauser. See an overtake happen there pretty early on. And it is kind of already completed right there, which is unlucky for Tannhauser. Might even get overtaken by Mort here too. But it has been a clean race start for all cars involved. We still haven't had a car start in the pit lane with us, which is, I think, a record at this point in the private championship. Usually we have at least 1 or 2 cars with us at this point. But yeah, as things stand, clean start for all parties involved. And I do believe some of these guys actually started on used inters, which is concerning because the weather forecast for this race is wet and potentially very wet at the end. So any safety car here could turn this from a 1 to a 2 stopper into a 3 stopper. We're getting into this race, and Singh has been a bit of a menace. kind of trying to assassinate control a couple of times with a couple of lockups. All in all, not much is going on right now. We have America in the lead as Verstappen has fallen down to third. For the most part, basically everyone is close to where they started, with Bolomolo being the big winner right now. Schumacher and Singh pulling down, which is, again, not unexpected. Yeah, Verstappen and Tannhauser has not had a good start to this race, but everyone's still running together. That can change really, really quickly. Tannhauser is managing their tires pretty well, and the same can be said here for Verstappen. That is probably also a factor to why they've lost a couple of positions. But honestly, that shouldn't be a problem. And we've had our first crash of the race, and it is an Alpine and an Ethan, if I'm not mistaken. I was mistaken. There was someone else involved. The Alpine was just there to fool me into thinking that something bad happened to Floof's team. But yeah, Ethan got booted there, and it was in fact the Duck that did it. And both of them are kind of struggling to get back on track right now. We could have another incident as a result of this incident, worst case scenario, that they both started running again. And for Ethan, this means a pit stop, a broken rear wing, and for Duck, it means a broken front wing. So not all good, and Duck does in fact pick up a penalty for it, which is not unsurprising. 3 cars now coming to the pit lane for their first stops. 2 of them for, well, having an incident, and 1 for just eating their tires, which can happen at this stage. I think it's still going to be a few more laps before the rest come in, but we got plenty of laps remaining, so maybe we'll get a 3-stopper anyways, at the very least. Now, this is going to spice things up. The arrest just got enabled, and we are going to have a period here of a little bit of a dry weather before it gets wet again. What this means is that, again, that ability comes into play, but tires are going to get shredded, which could lead to more pit stops. We're down to 0.8 already. It's not going to get a lot drier, just a little bit. But this is going to cause some problems, particularly again with DRS. Petrov then takes the lead with it. And for Tannhauser, they're still just stuck behind Mort at the moment. This drier period should lead to an increase in position changes. Right now, again, it's not a lot of them. For the most part, again, Duck just unlucky along with Ethan, and that's given a lot of the other drivers here some freebies straight up, which has been helpful for them, of course. Not so much for their competitors. But we should also see a lot of cars jump into the pit lane right now. We have Molo Bolo here. Bolo Molo. It's one of the first one. Goes onto a new Inter. And going early might not be necessarily be a bad thing. But again, we're on the wrong type of weather right now. That's going to hurt. You can already see it here on the OP driver, who has already pitted a second time. Just how much of a tire they've lost. So it is going to come with some consequences. Now, Aaron is our next pitty. That in 13th. But with the fresh air here, honestly, pitting is not the worst thing ever. Let's see where Bolo lines up in terms of pace. Nearly half a second to a second quicker than the lead is right now. So undercut, definitely on the table if they wait too long. But the pit stops around here aren't that long. 23 seconds. I mean, undercut is on the table. That would be huge here, I do think. So we're going to wait until the rest start pitting. And here we go. America has led Mort, Luna, Taz, and Urara into the pit lane, and it's a clean stop. Stop for Mort as well. What about Luna here? It's a slow one. Urara had a quick one. Rest have pitted cleanly here, and as you can see here, Bolo Bolo has in fact undercut all the way up to the lead alongside OP driver here. That is going to be a bit of a problem, I dare say, because that means everyone who just pitted, if they can get 1 or 2 more laps, we're going to see a huge change in the top leaders here, as Petrov and Suzuka comes in, both to pit here. There we are. Clean stops for both, and as I mentioned, with the undercut potential here, it's not looking super good, as America 2 might get ahead here. Does in fact get ahead. With that, Suzuka's down to 10th, and we're back to 11th, and we're down to back to damp conditions. Verstappen, Crashedy, and Tannhauser still needs to pit. OP driver will need to pit soon. But again, the undercut potential here is wild with the current conditions. You can kind of see with Crashity here, coming out in 11th, way down the order. Race has been pretty uneventful so far, but currently both Petrov and America are up in the top here as Molo Bolo and OP Driver has just destroyed their inters for some weird reason. Just completely eliminated them, but it is getting now into that potentially wet tire period. I don't think we're actually going to go on a wet tire, but I think most cars here have committed to a two-stopper, and Bolo and OP Driver are going to be the first ones to do that stop, and they're going to fall down pretty far down the order here. But as you can see, even Tannhauser here, who waited a long time to pit, is only down to 13th. So all things considered, we could still see some undercutting happening from both Molobolo and OP Driver as they're going to be pitting way earlier than everyone else. That's going to spice things up a little bit. Now, so the standings here, a lot of gains in the top 10. Only Urara has lost a position as Bolo does pit. Further down the order, Verstappen and Tannhauser are not happy with how this has gone. Clean stop for Bolo Molo here. And again, the question is going to be, can they undercut the cars in front? And can they undercut enough that they'll be able to retain the lead with 28 laps to go here? 26 seconds behind. Again, you need about 23 seconds for pit stop here, but let's face it, Bolo is going to need a little bit more than that because they need to have enough of a gap alongside OP Driver here that they can actually make that count. And you can already see just how much a pit stop did cost here as Poof runs wide. Yeah, Molobolo 19.6. That's not going to be good enough. That's kind of very close to the lap time the top are doing right now. You can see the gap there isn't going down close to enough right now. So the top two are going to be competing, the rest are going to be competing, and we're just basically waiting for the rest of them to start pitting or for the world to cause an incident. Yeah, right now, as I mentioned, they're not doing enough, and they're still using a lot of their tires as Tannhauser picks up a mechanical fault.
But the car's definitely not happy. Surely some kind of fault.
That's very informative, some kind of fault. Honestly, we are going to take a quick look at what kind of fault that is by doing lap history, and then it's the Tannhauser. It is the gearbox that probably should have been replaced before the race, but hopefully they'll do it after. But yeah, all things considered, we'll have to see here if Bolomolo and OP Driver can do anything, because they do have a tire advantage right now. But as things stand, I mean, America, everyone else, they could go till the end with the exception of Aaron, so we'll have to see what they end up doing. We have just 10 laps remaining here, and as you can see, the gamble is in fact to go till the end. They've started managing their tires a little bit. Thanks to that, Molobolo has made an overtake on Tannhauser, but the cost to the tire has been massive. Remember, Molo had about a 30% tire advantage here, and they've not been able to make that work for them. They've just burnt it all away pretty quickly here. We have Petrov and America fighting for first. We have Morth 4 seconds down the road in third. Then Suzuka, Crashity, Urara, as well as Luna, Verstappen, who are all fighting each other. And most of the traffic that you see here is actually just lap traffic. And Ethan and company basically here are causing a little bit of mayhem with, well, being lap. Might as well change to the intervals so you can get an idea of where everyone is. But it's a four-way fight for fifth here. It's a two-way teammate fight for 9th and 10th at the moment. We'll have to see if they can close down to the cars ahead. But right now, Petrov and America are swapping back and forth a lot. That is going to be tearing on their tires a little bit. Not enough, probably, that they're going to get a puncture here. Mort might be in danger of that, honestly. It's still 8 laps here. But if they manage the tires well, they can probably make that work. I'm not even going to lie. So the question here is going to be, can Molobolo do anything more? And honestly, I don't think so. The tires have been spent at this point. Verstappen is actually now in a better spot tire-wise. So I think, for the most part, the battle here is done. And Tannhauser's mechanical fault has escalated, which should hopefully result in a new gearbox being given, as the top two are still swapping. And we have now reached dry conditions, which could definitely... Okay, this could definitely throw a wrench in the plans. Dry conditions right now and it is going to keep on drying for at least a couple more laps. Dry conditions means way more tire usage, which means we could see a ton of punctures in the last few laps here. Urara is close to 30% already. Need to get to 20. But once we hit 20%, it's going to be really, really bad. So let's take a quick look at Urara, as they are the one in the most danger. They're using about 2% a lap. 5 laps to go. They're going to end up using 10% as things stand, which would still leave them safe, mind you. So it's not a big deal. And we're already back to damp. So again, shouldn't be a huge problem. The question is just who's going to come out victorious in the fight for the win here between Petrov and America. And remember, we're going to do the driver swap after this. So stats and some driver names will change. But they're going to keep it going where their quote-unquote teammate left them. I'll go over that in a little bit. Yeah, for now, 4 laps remaining here of this mayhem. And yeah, for Olomolo here, it's getting closer to that limit. And Urara is also getting close to that limit. Burning a little bit more tire right now, if you're asking me. Again, once you get below 30%, you lose so much pace. And Verstappen picking up that mechanical failure is probably a bit of a blessing for the competitors here. That remains to be seen. Petrov still trying to keep up with America. But America has a tiny, tiny tire advantage. That will probably end up being the edge that gets them this win. Unless they crash out again. That's going to be the big one. Oh, we have a yellow flag. No damage, though. Oh, we have a crash involving multiple vehicles. It's Singh. Oh. That could have been really bad. I think the Aston is going to have to take some of the blame on that one, unfortunately. Both cars survived and there's no safety car to end this under. Which I know one person would be very, very happy about if that happened. But Petrov is not giving up. Ready to go full send here. We're on the 3 laps to go. Poof has picked up a 5-second penalty. Yeah, of course, because crashing into Singh. Makes sense. Honestly, makes sense. I forgot that for a second. I thought it was someone else. I'm not even going to lie. Luna gets an overtake done here. Going to try and get Urara as well while we're at it. And we're now getting close to just 2 laps to go. Not make a second move right now. But 25%. Again, should survive till the end, but it's going to be close. Worst case scenario, we are going to see a puncture here. As Taz is trying to hold on to 10th place, but let's face it, OP Driver has better tires. That should be the difference maker there. As Petrov now has fallen a full second behind the leader. Suka, kind of a very similar scenario here, trying to fight for that last podium place, but is giving it everything right now. Down the main straight. Gets the overtake potentially done here, and that would be huge. A podium place for the Alpine is definitely something they'd love to see. Suzuka managed to hold on. Luna has gone Verstappen, could not get Crashity. Final lap here. America, Petrov, Suzuka, Mort, and Crashity, followed by Luna, Verstappen, Urara, OP Driver, and Molo. Question now is, can Mort take back that podium slot? Is that going to be doable? Or is it going to be asking a little too much here? We'll have to see. Looks like it is going to be a little bit too much. It's just a flat here. Oh, look at that. No, is it going to get there? Yeah. Mort get that podium place back in the final seconds here. And again, this is Duck. Duck is lapped, so Duck is not a part of this. Can any other changes happen further back? No. With that, America wins, followed by Petrov, Mort, Tsuka, Crashity, Luna, Verstappen and Urara, then OP Driver and Molo. Probably not too happy with how the race developed here. Teammate right behind. Tannhauser, probably in that very same boat as an unhappy camper. But with that race now in Brazil, we have reached our halfway point. And as I mentioned here, Tannhauser, Duck, neither of them very happy. But at the halfway point of the season, Mort is in the lead ahead of Bolo. What did Bolo? Actually improved 1. I misremember the qualifying, my bad. But yeah, Mort takes the lead in the championship before the driver swap, followed by Bolo Molo, and then Gulf of America here. Past that 4th, Crashly, Luna, OP drivers, Suzuka, Parker Petrov, and Tannhauser. Now, I mentioned the driver swap here, and I just want to make this absolutely clear. What I'm going to do is try and edit the names, the drivers to the new ones that they've chosen. They're still going to basically just swap seats with the current ones. So the 2 very bad Ferrari drivers here that are 52 overall, basically both of them put, again, the drivers are made from a shared pool. You can invest the entire pool into one driver, which is what they've done. And we'll see if that actually works out for them in the second half of the season. They have a 51-point deficit to come back from, which isn't impossible if you eke out some wins. But they are not the only ones who've done this, so it's going to be a little bit of a rough fight. Constructors then. Sauber takes the lead ahead of McLaren. We're going to have a bit of a close fight between those two. And we'll have to see if Ferrari can make any sort of comeback. But yeah. For now, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to do a little bit of editing of driver stats and names, and then we'll see how the second half of the season goes. After a quick bit of editing of both drivers and their names, our list now looks like this. As you can see, Mort has become Unique. They've also had a change. So editing this is possible. We'll just have to see if this actually sticks in the game. If not, we might get 20 ghost drivers, which would be kind of hard to keep track of. And if so, I'll just revert the names to fix that. But as you can imagine, it is possible to change this. And there is a bunch of new names right now. But also, as you can see, the drivers that have yet to score points are now very, very good. Lando here, who used to be the Fence Floof, is now 87 rated. The Spider, which used to be the Poof, is now 93 rated. Kanto, who used to be Control, is 89 rated. And, well, we now have Prime Kimi, rather than Singh, as well as the Stig, who has taken charge here for Ferrari. So as you can imagine, drivers that were limping are now going to be a little bit better. I'm going to have to double check Ethan here, but I think that is actually accurate for the most part. So as you can see, some drivers decided to have 2 80 rated drivers to kind of make it a little bit more competitive, but some went all in one way or the other. This is going to be interesting to see how the second half of this season carries on, and if the leader here, Nick, can keep this going all the way till the end. From the ravenous charge, I guess you could say, from the bottom 5. Yeah, I'm just going to run a quick test, see if the name sticks, and if they don't, well, we'll just have to stick with the old names, but you will get your stat update. So, for the most part, the name changes have stuck. Unfortunately, for one Williams driver, it's literal value, and for the other driver here, it's also literal value, so I'm going to see if I can fix that, but if not, then unfortunately, you are now literal value. Let's just see if we can fix that. Quick little amount of fixing later, and the names now have been fixed for both OP drivers and for our other victim here, Duck. So name changes aren't a big problem. There are some bugs that can go with it, but we've been able to avoid them for this one, so that should be fine. We're going to go into, I was about to say Austria, the shorter brother. And as you can see here, we are going to have a one-shot qualifying where we're going to have a run at the end. So I'm just going to allow the Ferrari Hopiums to go again. And I'm not going to subject Nando to his GP2 engine. But let's see how qualifying goes here. We are ready for the second half of the season. We are now getting to the end of the Q1 session, and you can kind of see the problem. Because some drivers have been upgraded, they are now on par with my drivers. And they are surpassing my drivers in certain senses, and that is going to be a bit of a problem. So, I am going to have to gamble on trying to get out here and not cause a bunch of mayhem. It's 2 minutes left to qualifying. There is a little bit of a gap here. And honestly, this is just a gap I'm going to have to send Hoviums into. It's either that or behind the McLaren. And honestly, maybe we'll try and sneak him in behind the McLaren and have him push. I think that's going to be our best bet. So let us send Hopiums out here. That should hopefully not block the McLaren much, I pray. No, just perfectly timed. In actuality, what we like to see. But we can see purple sector from our spider from... Again, I'm going to have to learn the names again. I'm sorry, everyone, for once again butchering everything you stand for, your names. We have all spider here. Let's see who the Alpine driver is. I think it's Miracle Hishi. I just made a mistake. We have a yellow flag. But all in all, should be good. Christie has run wide.
It's the Red Bull driver.
Christie is now Maxina Christie instead of us Christappen. And that is not good because that was your final run. And you are kind of in danger. It's one way to describe your current situation. In danger is actually incredibly accurate to your current situation, as we now push with Hopium to try and not get dismantled. Honestly, you did it on your outlaps. You're actually fine. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. The editing has broken my brain. Yeah, right now we are going, and luckily for us, I think everyone we're running into here is on a cooldown lap, so that should be fine. Ethan, Baba, Christie is in danger, and Nick now has been eliminated. Drift now is in danger too. Ethan is unfortunately out. What can Lando do here? Lando goes 8th quickest. Tanto. New Mercedes driver swapped out from control. What can you do? You should be a little bit quicker than this. Probably blocked a little bit, which is, well, usual right now. Aaron is out. The Stig is out. Again, one of the big favorites here. And Kimi almost got deleted here. So the two Ferrari drivers, not used to driving the shitboxes. But yeah, Aaron, Stig, Drift, Ethan, and Nick out here in Q1. I might also go some of your names the wrong way around, and if that is the case, I do apologize. But we are going to continue this. Our spider showing just how quick they can be. And yeah, it is in fact Hishimiracle. Nico Clady, Molo Bolo, just changes the Molo and the Bolo to mess with me. I'm not even kidding. At this point, I'm getting dizzy. The Gulf of America has become the Gulf of Mexico. But yeah, we'll see how this works out here. The Stig, not a good start to their stint, being eliminated in Q1. That is not what Ferrari was looking for. We are ready now for the Q2 final shootout. We did the first lap while it was still a little bit wet. Now it's a full dry lap here. Our spider is leading us out. But everyone, including my driver, will be doing a lap here. Luckily, we will not be blocking anyone. But the All Spider here will go out first and set the lap time to beat. 16.5 in the first sector seems to be the better one. Kimi with a 16.3. That is a mighty demonstration. 16.6 here, 16.7. There is going to be a little bit of a challenge here, I think, to get through with some of these results. All Spider improves their lap time. Miracle moves up. Mexico moves up. The big question here is, where is everyone going to end up? We're going to slow this down a little bit because there's a lot of drivers now going across the line. Tanto and go here along with Bolo. Improvement in lap times. Christappen. We now have Kimi taking pole half a second quicker than All Spider. That is actually kind of wild. Can the bottom four get out of danger? As it stands, both McLarens might be knocked out here, and they have been. Tanto versus Baba. Who is going to pick the longest straw here? And it is Tanto. But unfortunately for Tanto, I still need to be in Q1. So that is Tanto out. Polomolo, Clady. I need to check who this is again. Baba and Cap out in Q2 here. Kimi showing a little bit of a monster demonstration there. Let's see again how the rest of the season is going to go. Going to be pretty interesting, all things considered. Let's just remind myself who this is. It's Rice Shower. Okay, that makes more sense. Let's see what Q3 has to offer. We are getting to the end here of Q3. Duck is currently on their final run with 2 purple sectors. The rest are also getting set up to have a go at it here. But Duck is the first one crossing the line, and 1:08.2 is the time to beat. Kimi will be right behind, trying to get that time beaten, and does do so by 0.03 of a second. The question now is, can Allspider or anyone further down the grid here cause any sort of problem? Miracle Hishi here, similar first sector to Kimi and Duck. Is it going to be enough here, the Alpine drive, to get into contention? It is still wet out there, 1.7 millimeters of water. So we do need to keep that in mind. Lando 2. with a good first sector. Middle sector, 30.8 at right now. That going to be enough. Or Spider with a purple one. And third fastest, a tenth down as things stand. Lando, a tenth up. Compared to Miracle, as 2 turns remain for the driver. Are we going to see a Lando upset here? Lando only goes third fastest, but it is close. Or Spider is going to be the one to keep an eye on here. As the Gulf of Mexico goes fourth fastest. OP driver goes seventh. And Or Spider here. 1,000 away from pole. Kimi has got it by just 1,000 of a second. That is huge. And for pulling here, that middle sector, honestly, all sectors kind of were a bit of a letdown, but does end up ninth here. Just 1,000 of a second, though, between these two. And honestly, Verstappen and Duck here, just 2,000 between them. And the top 5 here, all within basically 600ths of a second, is insane to me. Let's see how the race goes. It's also going to be wet here. We are ready now for the Australian GP. Austrian. And on pole, we do found Prime Kimi Raikkonen, who does get a good launch here. Isti also gets a good launch. Or Spider and Duck in a very good position too. Now this is going to be a wet race, and it's not going to take long before the wet arrives. Just 10 laps or so. So everyone will be pushing maximum here for the 5 first laps. And remember, we do have some drivers who are expected to perform really, really well here. We'll have to see how that works out for them. But a clean start here by all estimations. Ethan is not having a good time for this first lap. We'll have to see if he can recovery work, but it looks like it's already happening. But yeah, Prime Kimi takes the lead ahead of All Spider, Crazy Duck, again, Miracle, Mexico, Lando, Pulling, Kanto, and OP Driver. And again, I'll have to relearn these names. It's going to suck for a little bit. A couple of mechanical faults on Ethan and Christy immediately. The rain has arrived here, and the pit lane mayhem has begun. Some are jumping in actually fairly early here, and so far, Verstappen is the big winner, and Kimi is honestly one of the bigger losers here, being shuffled down to 12th immediately. This is going to change things around a little bit. Stig also getting absolutely shafted. All Spider and Mexico are going for an extra lap here, and honestly, with the pit mayhem, it might actually have benefited them a little bit. We shall take a look once they've pitted on who gained and who lost during this first pit stop. But mayhem it was, and Christie might again come out as the big winner here. We'll have to see. Lando, I think, also moved up quite a bit with that. But again, I'm a little bit unsure who had the biggest win here. All Spider is out in the lead, and Mexico here comes out in 6th as things stand. Currently pulling Molobolo, Baba, the biggest winners here of the pit stop debacle. And yeah, Prime Kimi here, Miracle, Living Duck, all got shuffled down, with Rush Hour 2 having a pretty bad time of it. Is just how things sometimes be. But the order is All Spider, Christie, Lando, Pulling, Polo, Mexico, OP drivers, Baba, Tanto, and Duck in the points. And we'll have to see if Prime Kimi here can make any sort of a comeback. We've had an incident here with Prime Kimi. The bad luck does not stop for Ferrari, as there is a little bit of violence, but it looks like they both got away with it without any damage nor injuries, not even a lot of durability on the tires. So all in all, that could have gone a lot worse. We'll have to wait and see if there's any penalties dished out for that, but I think they will be okay. 20 laps into this, not much has changed. A mechanical fault for Kaladi is unfortunate, but not out of the norm at this point. The investigation leaves no victims, I do believe. No penalties given. That incident between Kimi and
Let's take a look at the replay. Now here we are tackling
was Baba. Duck now. Next victim up on the chopping block with a lockup. Almost takes down to Sauber, but that is going to hurt the rankings all the way down to 18th now. Kimi's troubles are not over, and he's involved in yet another incident here. This time, though, I don't think it was his fault, and that is, in fact, correct.
But there was
as the RB locks up into the rear of the Ferrari, and Kimi now is down to 18th here. Car is destroyed. Not a good time. And Luna here, Luna Drift, has been given a 5, maybe a 10-second penalty for their troubles. We'll have to see. Christie here, not having a good time. The components giving some problems here. Same here for Ethan. Hopefully they'll get some new ones after this race. And in terms of the damage suffered, it is the ERS that needs to change. Does have a fresh engine though, so that's not a problem. Ethan, on the other hand, it's a gearbox issue, which is a little bit more problematic. So we'll have to see if they can maybe fix that for him down the road. But for now, yeah, Kimi got humbled real quick, unfortunately, as they do get overtaken here by a Rise Shower. He's had a couple of lockups and does not have a good race here either. Spider still out front here. We are going up on 30 laps, followed by Lando, Christie, Mexico, pulling Bolo, Santo, Driver, Miracle, and the Stig here, who is making his way back into the points at the cost of their teammate. Kimi's woes continue. I'm sorry, at this point it's become a little bit of a recurring occurrence. Kimi here has picked up a problem with their car. Hopefully it gets fixed by the next race. If you look at your screen, Kimi has had another problem, and it is another mechanical failure. However, we're getting to the interesting part now. It is going to slowly now start drying up. We have a little bit more rain left, and then it is going to dry, and everyone is going to pit. Now, unfortunately for Kimi, the gearbox here has been basically shafted after the incident. Went from 50 to 27. And now it should be hopefully blowing up enough that they get a replacement next race. But yeah, Allspider is currently still leading a couple of seconds ahead of Lando. And then we have Mexico, who's kind of been holding up some of the other cars here. All in all, though, the top 10 is mostly filled with people who made up a lot of places. Christie is losing due to the engine failure. Miracle had a bit of bad luck. But unfortunately here, most of the positions gained are due to both Kimi and Living Duck having a bit of a meh of a race here. However, we're just going to speed this up a little bit. Basically, the change here from wet to dry should happen within just a couple of laps as things stand. That is going to spice things up again here. We'll have to see if they do get clean stops. And we are getting now to that limit. Drift with a mechanical fault, not the only one here. Loads of mechanical faults for this race, and it has now changed to dry. We are going to start seeing pit stops. No one is in the range where there should be any punctures, but I do believe we're going to see pit stops on this lap, and Baba is the first one to pull the trigger here. Are any of the top 10 going to do the same? No, they are all staying out, but Prime Kimi is coming in. Never mind, Bolo is coming in. One of the first pit stops here by a point scorer. That's a hard tire for just 20 laps around Austria. That's another hard tire. Are they all going hard tires? They are. That's insane. Genuinely, that's insane. It's just 20 laps around Austria as Lando has taken the lead, but Allspider and Mexico comes in to try and cover that off. It's a medium for Allspider. That makes sense. Pulling, it's a hard tire. I don't know if I like this. Everyone but the Spider goes, that's medium for Mexico. That's good. Hard for pulling. Stig has been given a medium. Slow pit stop here for the Williams. Not what they needed right now. Cap with a hard tire. So 3 medium runners so far. The rest have all chosen the hard one. What is Lando going to do? What is Tanto going to do right now? It's going to be the big question. It's a medium for Lando. Is it a clean stop? It is. Tanto comes in. It's medium for them too. Is it going to be clean? It is. Does not beat Allspider out here. Actually falls all the way down to second, a couple of seconds behind. Tanto is now behind their teammate. So all in all, the best going that extra lap, but we'll have to see if Lando, Mexico, pulling Anton Bolo here can actually reel in Allspider before the end of this. We've had yet another incident. This time it is Abby making... I don't even think they're racing that V-Comp, so that is a bit of a hit that wasn't really necessary, which is unfortunate. Yeah, they're not racing that V-Comp. Pretty sure it was not Aaron, and Christie's mechanical fault here has become terminal, but I believe it was the ERS for Christie, so they're going to keep on going. And just pushes OP drivers wide. Classic move right there. Right now, All Spider still in lead. Bolo is being a little bit bullied, but with the low confidence now from pulling, this could be a terrorist in the making. We just have to wait and see. But yeah, that is a bit unfortunate that you tap someone while trying to pass them, because I'm pretty sure that was Luna Drift. And judging where Luna is compared to the others, it just makes me even more certain. Fastest lap right now goes the way of Hishi Miracle. Let us see if they can reel in All Spider, or All Spider is going to pull off a win here, as pulling easily goes past Bolomolo. So again, at the end here, both Pulling and Bolomolo has dropped down a bit, and that is because they got sent to the Shadow Realm. Unfortunately, I kind of missed it. Just saw it on the radar. Anto now passes Mexico to go up into the podium slot, but All Spider has had this race under control for most of it, and it's very likely to win. I have to see a yellow flag there. Was it Nick? Nope. Like, that's a clean fight. Is Bolo running wide? That is not a good thing with just 3 laps to go, particularly when your tires are already basically destroyed here. Yeah, Tanto vs Mexico. Other than that, it's going to be Miracle trying to get 7 from Aaron, as well as OP Driver. Then we have Duck versus Nick for the final points. A lot of injured cars and drivers here at the moment, I dare say. And honestly, I'll just see how the standings look after this. Yeah, so far, we can speed this up a little bit, because as mentioned, there isn't really a lot of fighting going on right now. Mexico versus Tanto for the most part. They are going to keep this up probably all the way to the finish line. Maybe not. Mexico got shuffled wide there. Quite aggressively, I might add. And that might settle the podium for us. Miracle has made his way past Aaron, but Aaron is not giving up. We'll have a couple more chances to get by. Yeah, final lap is underway. All Spider, Lando, Tanto, and then Mexico here. You will have DRS, I believe. That'll give him a chance to launch one final attack. Aaron is in a very similar position. Are you going to be brave on the brakes? Not brave enough. And that might be what was needed. Aaron made it by. Mexico is still trying. Hishi cannot get that place back, I think. Very defensive. But yeah, that is All Spider here, taking the win, followed by Lando. And we have Tanto, Mexico, Pulling, Bolo, Aaron, who managed to hold Hishi and OP Driver at bay. Then we have Living Duck during the last point and fastest lap against Nick. Some damaged cars out there, which is unfortunate, but that is just the name of the game. So let us see what happens here. Yeah, a good race for Spider. A lot of the top 7 here did improve a lot. Again, Kimmy and Christy, a lot of the losses there. Take a look at the drivers then. It should allow the Spider to score their first points, and now it's going to be a tough fight here. Molobolo still took the lead here, but if All Spider has another weekend like this, then they might actually just move up into the top spaces here. McLaren takes the lead in the championship, but we believe that puts Aston Martin a lot closer. We'll have to see if Kimmy can slow down the All Spider. We also do have a couple of other drivers, but they've had some issues of their own, so a comeback is required. Next up is Spain. Pain. Let's see how that one goes. We are getting to the end of qualifying here. I'm a little late, I know. But currently Pulling, Bolo, Ethan are all on outlaps here. And OP Driver, unfortunately, has finished their final chance and is out. We'll have to see if Krista can do some improvements here, but they got held up pretty much immediately. Other than that, it's been a quiet qualifying here, but for Christie, it's not looking very good right now. Not gonna sugarcoat this. And currently, it would be the other Red Bull driver at risk. But Christie is unfortunately out as things stand. I've once again forgotten who is driving that Red Bull. I need these standings. It's Shower, Rice Shower, of course. Ethan is having a decent enough run here, but it's still 3/10 down compared to most of the other cars. But we'll have to see if they can find an improvement here. Rice Shower at danger, Drift in danger. Are they going to improve enough that they will not be in danger? For Ethan, that is not the case. Ethan is out. Drift improves, puts Aaron now in the danger seat. What can Pulling and Bolo do? Bolo's had a terrible middle sector. Some traffic coming on here from the Ferrari team. Blocking. And Bolo is out in Q1. That's a bit of an upset. The championship leader has been eliminated alongside Chrissy, Ethan, OP drivers, and Rice Shower. Now in Q2, the banker laps have been completed, and Nick, or Spider, Drift, Baba, Duck, and Bulgari Cap here find themselves all in danger as Lando is trying to improve and is doing a good job at it. Same here from Aaron. It's currently a 1-2 from the Ferrari boys. Spider needs a good one here. Lando goes up to 4th. What can Aaron do here? More importantly, what can Baba do? That is already a full second down in the first sector. Some blocking going on. Improves time, but does not improve position, meaning that they are straight up knocked out there. A lot better for Living Duck here. Should be able to get out, putting Tanto and potentially Pulling in danger down the line. Let's see here what Duck does. 5th best. Puts Tanto in the fires of Mount Doom, so to speak. But Tanto is improving too. Is it going to be enough to get out of danger here? That's going to be the big question. The answer is yes. I think. It is enough. Puts their teammate in danger. And Cap has had a terrible middle sector compared to some of the others, but just gets out of there. That's not going to be good enough, though, because I think Nick is going not faster necessarily. Similarly, not improved. Drift is out. Nick is out. Baba is out. What can Pulling do here? Pulling, Claddy, and Allspider all have times left to set. Is Cap, Aaron, and Mexico going to be pushed out here? Pulling, the first one to finish the lap out of the 3. That is 4/10 down. Let's see where Pulling ends up. Pulling ends up 4th. And 4/10 are still in danger. Needs a good finish here. It's not good enough. 11th. And what can the Spider do? Spider needs to get out of here. Australian Spider. Oh, that's a yellow final sector boost. More than enough. Aaron, Claddy, Cap, Drift, and the 2 Sauber drivers out in Q2. We are reaching the end of Q3 here with Pulling having set a really, really early lap here. There's still a 10th off pole here with Kimmy and Stig still having a couple laps to do. Or Spider, not a good first sector. That's going to put pole position a little bit out of reach here. Have to see if there's any improvement in the second sector. There is a little bit. I think the letdown of the first one is going to keep pole far, far away. It's a purple final sector. It's time improvement, non-improvement of position. That is going to be a little bit interesting here. But the rest still have a chance to improve. Both the Ferraris can improve their times. Tanto, Lando, Mexico here getting into it with a purple first sector. The Ferraris are 10th behind immediately. Tanto too with a 22 blank first sector. It's looking very, very promising. An improvement in second sector, not purple for Mexico, but that is still decent enough. Tanto follows through with a similar time. But is it going to be good enough? It's good enough for pole. What about Tanto? Good enough for second. 1,000 off the time here. But Stig takes it back, and Kimmy cannot respond in the final sector. 2/10 down. Stig actually took that one back. And in Spain, we have 4 cars within a 1/10 of a second. That is wild. Stig here takes pole ahead of Mexico, Tanto, and Prime Kimmy. And we are pulling Spider, Miracle, Lando, and Living Duck. Should make Spain fairly interesting.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome to Pain, which also is incidentally The last wet race of the season.
And it's lights
After
out.
this one, the final two in Canada and Jeddah will both be dry, and it's a great start from Stig, from Kimi, from Mexico. It's a terrible start from Tanto here, and he's already lost a position going into that first corner. They still haven't given Clady an improved car part here, which is unfortunate for the McLaren driver. That is just unfortunately how these teams operate. They really hate their teams. It's a reality of the situation. But as things stand, it's a clean start again. No big changes in position, I do believe. It's just 1 or 2 plus up, like usually is. Bolo had a pretty terrible start, which can happen. As I mentioned, it's going to be a rainy event here. The last rainy race of the season. So we are just going to trundle on and see how this one develops. So 10 laps in, and I think I might be spotting a bit of a problem, and that is that everyone is shredding their tires. Look at this, 10 laps in, and the top 3 is already under 50%. We have Hishi here down to 40, and basically there is a limited amount of inters that you get, so chugging through them like this is not going to be beneficial to anyone really, but Tanto right now is managing the tires the best as things stand, followed by Clady. Let's see if they can make this work. It's going to be a lot of pit stops if they keep on pushing this hard. I think we might actually see the first ones on this lap. No? Well, we'll take a look at it a little bit later. Kimi, followed by Allspider, followed by Stig. Current top 3. Mexico runs wide. That's unfortunate.
And that's where they slightly run off the track. And they'll
Yeah,
find
that's not a
themselves
good
disadvantaged.
that's not a good place to run wide. And honestly, I should just be happy they got away with that without damage, I think. Yeah, both Saubers have pit stopped here. I think that was a bit of a double stack. Now we are seeing the first stop here from one of the top 3. Allspider comes in for a fresh set of inters. And the question is going to be, how is the pit stops here going to affect the fights for points? Because Stig, look at this, 25% should pit this lap. Does in fact do so. And again, a lot of the fights that are going to be in pit lane, it's going to be getting past these cars that do pits. Stig is already 5 seconds behind Allspider after just one stop. I think Tanto and Lando, who are actually managing tires, they might come out ahead simply because it's going to be hard to overtake. There's going to be a lot of cars here on just completely broken tires. But, on the other hand, they might actually just ease their tires quick enough that by the time you catch up to them, they've already have a need to pit here, like both Miracle and Drift coming in, giving Allspider here a good chunk of pretty real estate to push with. We've had a pit stop issue for one that was very competitive. Lando here has come into his pit box. And the tire just did not want to cooperate with him, which does happen from time to time. We see now fast lap going the way of Kimi, while Clady's mechanical fault has escalated. And again, hopefully we'll get a new component soon. But Allspider is net in the lead right now. Ogre needs to pit at the end of this lap, or we might get a puncture. And Mexico has had a bit of an incident there. So just the tires get destroyed. A spin.
This is what happened. Well, things are okay at this stage. And round they go.
Yeah, that's gonna sting. That's gonna hurt the chances right there. But Cap is now in Puncture Valley. Is the Valley gonna bite back? 19%, still safe. And in the pit lane they go, so they're now completely safe. Yeah, Tanto. When Tanto pits here, it's going to be very painful because time consideration-wise, 23 seconds. They're going to end up somewhere between Nick and Miracle Hishi, most likely. You'd like to come out ahead of Nick here. Yeah, tire-wise, it's not really a good place to be. And again, before we do the final couple of pit stops here, Spider has made up some places, Stig has made up places. It's pulling Lando, and of course the Gulf of Mexico here, who has suffered the most as Cap picks up a mechanical failure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. If that one less pit stop maybe that Tanto will do will turn out to be an advantage in the long term. Tanto finally comes to the pit lane here on the way out after a clean stop, and Just went one lap too many, I think, because now again, look, loses out to traffic there. It's had Miracle, Nick, and Aaron, and the reality was could have very easily come out ahead of them, and now you need to pass them, and that is going to destroy your tires. Timmy, on the other hand, has overtaken Spider, has a tire advantage right now, and is going to try and utilize that to a bigger advantage long term. We're getting close to the half point of the race here. 30 out of 66 laps. We have Shower, OP Driver, and Baba in the pit lane again. And honestly, Allspider kind of needs to pit this lap, or they will be playing with fire. They've been able to keep up with Kimmy, which is huge. But Stig is not liking the current scenario. And Allspider goes around again. This could be devastating for the winner of last race. And with DRS, keeping up has become a lot easier. But at the same time, there's some risk involved here. 22% now on these tires. Puncture could be imminent. Aaron now comes in for a pit stop as well. And honestly, again, it's going to be Kimmy versus Allspider for this one by the looks of it. Tanto has been making inroads and getting back, but the traffic has just been too much. Last couple of corners here for Allspider. 19% survived. Are we going to see the pit lane? Did you skip the pit lane? No, you did not. I thought Allspider there just threw away a good result here by going one more lap more than he needed. But this is their second stop, and we have just reached the halfway point of the race. So they are chugging tires at this point. Molo and Cap both come in as well. But yeah, it's going to be hard to say who wins this because there's so much going on here. Duck's definitely going to be pitting after this. But again, main question is just how easily will you be able to clear the cars up front. Now, while it is dry, it's actually a good time to pit because you have the DRS to clear. You're going to eat a bit more tire by doing so. But with DRS help, that might actually be worth it, particularly if you can get up ahead of pulling, because then there'll be a bunch of free air. Baku had low tires come in alongside Miracle Hishi. And honestly, at this point, Kimmy is in a pretty commanding position, I'm not going to lie. Kimmy just needs one more stop. But honestly, it's the same for the rest, so I don't know. Depends on how quickly they eat their tires. I can't even guess at this point. It's hard to say. Sig now out in 7th after pitting. A good 10 seconds behind the Spider. We'll have to see if that changes anything. Kimmy now has pitted from the lead and comes out behind Allspider. I do think Kimmy's going to need to pit again, honestly, at this point. So these fresh tires needs to put in a lot of work to close that gap because Allspider needs to pit again, Kimmy needs to pit again. And that's going to make things a little bit interesting here. Tanto and Lando also do need to pit fairly soon, which is going to, again, cause a little bit of mayhem because there are a couple of different strategies here. As both Tanto and Lando come in, and this time Lando does have a clean stop. Tanto comes out in 7th. Lando should be able to sneak out in 9th. Does. But yeah, there's so many different strategies now that it's hard to estimate who's going to end up where, particularly as the AI might try and save tires, and they're really bad at it. Lando have a moment? No, Aaron had a moment.
Now we're just proceeding through turn 4. Oh, and the car locks up. Now
Just locks up and sends it to the Shadow Realm. That's a bit unfortunate for the EV Carb. Nothing much can be done about that. Now look, Kimmy is actually reeling in Allspider in 1.5 seconds so far. Let's see if they can catch up. We've had an incident between McLaren and I believe a Red Bull. Nothing major, just a little bit of wheel banging. Get by violently from Clady here. And that is going to hurt the tires a little bit, unfortunately, for the McLaren. But this has not been a competitive race to begin with, so they're probably okay with that. Shower now pits. Nick pits. Mexico pits. This has not been a kind race to many of the low smoothness drivers here. It's been rough. Let's just put it like that. Kimmy now, with 20 laps to go, has caught up and is trying to pass Allspider with a 40% tire advantage. And honestly, at this point, should probably just run light and make sure that these go till the end. And honestly, the same can be said for Tanto and Lando. And they'll undercut both Stig and Allspider doing that. Yeah, right now, Allspider is just holding on for dear life. Every lap that Kimi is kept behind is very valuable. But honestly, I guess I spoke that into existence. Kimi makes a very easy overtake and gets that done. Very skillful. I say easy, it's actually pretty nice. All things considered. Allspider is not ready to give up though, and it's actually coming back. But does not really have the tires to fight, let's be honest. One fourth of the race remaining here. Let's see if there's any more upsets. Allspider has finally pit. A clean pit stop here, comes out in 5th. Was a good 5 seconds behind when they pitted. And they now need to make up 30 seconds in the last 15 laps here. I do believe both Kimi and Tanto are just going to try and survive. Probably the same goes for Lando. But we'll have to see what Stig does here. Stig does still need to pit, but Bolo, Christy, Ethan, a lot of the other cars here share that very, very same fate. So anything can happen in the last 15. But for the most part, it's going to be more management, as Christy is the first one to jump into the pit lane here. But as you can see, you're just falling so far back when you do pit, because all of the front drivers are running away. The rest aren't that far off. And Ethan has actually pulled off a puncture here. That's gonna hurt. That is gonna hurt a lot there. Where exactly is the Ethan? In the pit now. Yeah, all the way at the back. And that gives some free points to someone else. A bit unfortunate. Allspider here already gained 3 seconds on Kimi. We have a yellow flag. Mechanical fault.
But it looks like they're
That can't be the yellow flag though. What else is going on here? Bin from the iron fire.
right. Let's follow the action now at turn 7.
Oh, that could have been bad for the Sauber, but the Sauber gets away scot-free. I believe they will take that. 12 laps to go now. We are getting close and close to the end here. Stig and Lando are having a little bit of a squabble here, with Stig getting out ahead. The Williams behind is a lapped car, so not much to write home about there. But yeah, Stig and Allspider has both made it past Lando, but catching up to Kimi and Tanto here is probably going to be a little bit too much to ask with just 3 laps remaining. There hasn't been a lot of fights going on here, honestly, excuse me. Lando has basically been just very easily passed. It's disappointing. And further down the order, the gaps have been pretty consistent. Bolo here is the only one really fighting for 9th against Shower. Apart from that, it's been pretty clean, all things considered. Last 3 laps to go here, and currently Kimi, Tanto, Allspider, all of them are going to be happy with their performance. Stig's going to be a little bit disappointed. But for the most part here, the disappointment will lie with Mexico, Claddy, Drift, and Baba for the most part. Christy here, although improvements have been made, probably have liked to gain a little bit more. Bolo now. Still trying to unshower. We have a crash involving multiple vehicles. It's Claddy. Just a little bit of wheel brushing right there, nothing too major. But I did see a Ferrari, I believe, in the picture, so probably happening just after getting lapped. Another yellow flag here as Bolo gets by Shower. I assume Shower, yeah, ran wide.
was on the straight.
That is a little bit unfortunate.
Too wide at that point.
Just a little bit wide, yeah. Just a tiny, tiny bit wide. With that, Shower has actually been pushed all the way out of the points there. Gave Nick a chance to get in here. And with the tires being used, I don't think that's going to change. Comeback is going to be difficult. Duck right now, trying to chase down Hishi. And honestly, Kimi here is going to very likely secure a win, unless we will into existence a bit of a crash. But that would be very, very mean. Not going to lie. Tanto in second. Allspider should be able to secure 3rd here. Then we have Stig and Lando finishing off the top 5. Pulling, Miracle and Duck are not done deciding who's 7th and who's 8th. Then of course we have Bolo and Nick, Stappen and Shower, or Christy and Shower, now having a little bit of a teammate duel as those tires are worn. But Kimi does pull off a bit of a win here. Tanto gets 2nd, Allspider gets 3rd. Then we have Stig, Lando pulling. And I do believe Miracle has held off here, so we'll speed this up a little bit. Bolo and Nick finish off the top 10 here. Let us see the standings after 6 out of 8 races and the last wet race. This is where the fun begins. Driver's 10, Bolo scored a couple of points, still keeping that lead, but the Spider here has caught up and is now 40 points. That's going to be a bit rough. Honestly, we're going to need to see if Kimi, Stig, and the rest here can steal some points, or if they have a little bit of bad luck. McLaren still in the lead. Mercedes moves up to 3rd. Aston Martin moves up to 4th. And with that, they are definitely taking huge chunks out of the lead as things stand. However, we are going to jump into the next race, which should be Canada. So I'm once again reminded that the AI is really, really bad at managing everything, as they have 4 cars here that do have some sort of damage to their components. That is not a good thing, but we're going to get ahead here with qualifying in Canada. Maybe institute some rules to do with that if we do another Drivers' Championship at one point. Offline gives a lot more freedom in changing the cars and also the components
Eyes on dash.
in races. But for now, just going to go through the Canadian GP, and as you saw, it's going to be inters for the final run here. So we're just waiting for that, really. Then I'll kick off. This will be a banker, and then I'll have one more lap after that, as Cap's mechanical fault has escalated. And the paint train is going full force here. We also have a yellow flag immediately. Aaron Fire has had a bit of an incident. Luckily, that's on the warm-up lap. It could be a lot worse. This is also the last wet qualifying of the season, so let's see how it goes. Ethan complements that with his spin on turn 2. Luckily, still one more lap to set a good time. That is a bit of an unfortunate timing. Not gonna lie, that is a bit unfortunate. Now, it's gonna keep on getting a little bit drier, but I think this is a good place to send out our drivers to see how they do. Again, these are the banker laps right here. After the banker laps are completed, this is the final run. Pulling, Duck, Bolo, Cap, and Ethan are in the drop zone here. The 4 cars with damage, plus Ethan who had a spin. Which is a little bit, again, unfortunate, but it's the name of the game. Sometimes it just happens that you are unlucky. Let's see what Pulling can do. Pulling goes how fast? 3rd fastest right now, but as mentioned, it is getting drier. Ethan goes fastest as it stands. And the order is changing here. Cap is probably in danger. I'm not even going to lie. Stig right now moves up. Duck is out. It's just improvement after improvement from everyone here. And Pulling, who went first, is out. Lando is out. Nick is out. Duck and Cap are also out. So Lando here not making the cut, unfortunately. It's a bunch of changes there. It's basically everyone improved. Anchor laps have been set. Rush Hour is the first one out on the final run here. And Baba, Drift, Bolo, the driver, Clady, and Ethan are all in danger as it is getting slightly wetter again. But honestly, Banker laps had a similar level of wetness. So we'll have to see if someone can improve here. Currently, again, Aaron is in danger here, but so is kind of Kimi if there's no improvements. The top is not improving. Middle is not really improving. Have they used all their juice on the first run? It looks like that is in fact the case, even though it was 335. The last car did cross the line then. But no real improvements here from anyone. And with that, Baba, Drift, Bolo, OP Driver, Clady, and Ethan are all out in Q2 as things stand. Bit of an unfortunate moment there. So interestingly enough, it is actually drying out right now as Allspider makes an overtake on Miracle. Both of them are on a fast lap. But basically right now is the best time because it is going to start raining again. 3 cars went out really, really early, which I think they're going to end up regretting here. But Allspider takes pole as things stand. Tanto and Stig goes quicker though. Stig does. And Stig is on provisional pole as things stand, ahead of Allspider, ahead of Christie, Aaron, Tanto, Kimmy, Mexico, Shower, and Miracle. Miracle definitely getting shafted by Allspider making that overtake. We'll have to see if anyone here can actually make another run, because this is probably the driest that it's going to be. And I did again forget to upgrade my weather center, so my initial report wasn't fully accurate. That tends to be the habit here. But Kimmy is actually setting purples. Are we going to see any upsets from anyone else? Probably not, but Kimmy here. Is Kimmy going to take pole? Kimmy is on pole. That's insane. That's an insane improvement. You can see Mexico here is already 8/10 down. Improvement in the middle sector, however. Improves 1 place. Shower, Miracle, both of them are improving. Aaron is improving. We have a yellow flag there for a second. Tanto ran white. That's unfortunate for him.
Let's take a closer look.
We are seeing improvements further down the field here.
Turn 4. And nearly, just
I take that shortcut sometimes, because that is literally what it is. Shower now, 3rd fastest. Okay, we are seeing improvements across the board then. What can Hishi do? Improves up to 6th. Nothing too major. And Aaron did not improve, unfortunately. What can Stig do here? Yellow middle sector, yellow final sector does not actually improve. Neither does Allspider, but Shower here with a bit of an upset. Sneaks up into 3rd. That is actually huge for the Red Bull driver. And with that, qualifying for Canada is over and done with a front row lockout from Ferrari. We are ready for the race itself here. Front row by the Ferraris. And we are underway. Timmy with a great start. Stig with a decent enough start here. But Shower is actually looking really, really good. Could get a bit of a run on the Ferrari here. With the outside line, it's a bit of a challenge. Duck and Cap both find themselves in the pit lane alongside us. Finally, we have some victims. Some more victims to participate with. And we are going to go ahead and retire our cars, which should hopefully allow them to get into this race. But a clean start by most cars here. 3 medium runners, the rest are on softs. It's going to be a completely dry race for the entire thing. Shouldn't be a single drop of rain. But I'll just see how people manage their tires. For now, though, Ferrari's kept 1-2. Shower is still 3rd. Let's see how this race shapes up. Early on, Tanto here has a bit of a moment, which is very unfortunate, because it sees Tanto lose a bunch of positions that lock up, and they're now down in 14th. Not really the best start to a race, and that is also tire usage, which is really, really bad. However, could be that they pit early and undercut everyone. We've seen it before, we might see it again. Kimmy's curse is continuing. They have picked up a bit of a mechanical fault. We'll take a look at that a little bit later, but it's going to make things challenging. We've had some early pit stops here, including Miracle, Lando, and Tanto. And Lando even picked up a mechanical failure for his troubles. But the undercut here is going to be a little bit challenging, because even while Tanto pitted very, very early, it's not a lot of time given. And Stig here is actually going to be pitting out from the front, and as you can see, you just lose so many positions once you actually do end up pitting, that you need to find a really, really good window, a really good time to do it. And coming out ahead of Cap, followed by the rest of the gang here, is probably that nice window to do this pit stop in. Honestly, pretty decent. Christie has moved up. Shower has moved up, but for the most part, the top is looking pretty similar here, 17 laps into the race. Most others have pitted at this point. 20 laps in. Kimmy is hitting that 30% mark. Should pit here and will. But Stig has definitely won out in terms of the undercut championship here. Christie might also get that benefit. Let's see where exactly Kimmy comes out, because this is going to be painful going this long, and it's going to be even worse for Allspider, because Allspider has a little bit more to go on. But Kimmy, who was basically on a podium for pitting, is now down in 9th and has been undercut by, well, at least 5 cars. Let's just put it like that. Shower 2 pitted late and is currently down in 7th, but pulling is being a little bit of a blockade object right now. Have to see what happens once all Spider pits, where they end up. But all in all, it's been a clean pistol for everyone. Bolo does have a bit of a problem here. Pulling has a bit of a problem here. We see All Spider finally pitting. Looks like it was a clean stop. Where are you going to end up? Are you going to end up behind Pulling? No, you're going to end up behind Mexico. Down in 5th now with fresh tires. We've had an incident involving Kimi again. The curse is permanent at this point. Side by side with the Sauber. And just does a little bit of a tap there with Gigi Baba. Baba picks up some front wing damage by the looks of it. And we might actually see some penalties here going the way of the Ferrari if unlucky. But yeah, Kimi here has not been having a good time. Let's just put it like that. And penalty actually goes to Baba. That is nuts, honestly. But I guess that's what the stewards decided. So we're getting to the interesting part of this race here. All Spider is in the lead but needs to pit. And most cars behind has in fact pitted. Ethan and Claddy has not. But when All Spider does end up pitting, they're very likely to end up, well, behind right shower as things currently stand. Mechanical failures are still plaguing us, but let's see here where All Spider comes out as they finally do pit from the lead. Big takes that over. Christie is in 2nd. But can those barreling down the main straight now get past All Spider on the way out here? Miracle just barely is unable to do that. And in fact, gets blocked enough here that Claddy gets by. That's actually really, really unfortunate here for Hisha Miracle. With that, we are getting into the last 25 laps here with Stig leading the charge, followed by Christie, Mexico, All Spider, Claddy who needs to pit, Hisha Miracle, Shower, Ethan needs to pit, Drifter needs to pit, and then, sorry, Drifter does not need to pit, then Camp who needs to pit. Gonna shake things up quite interesting. Kimi is just having a genuinely bad day with the mechanical failure further escalating. We have nearly 15 laps to go here as Nick suffers a mechanical fault and Claddy is playing with fire. 22% tires and decides to go around once more. Stig is currently still in lead here, followed by Christie and Mexico. All Spider here is catching up, but let's face it, this is going to be quite a bit of a challenge to get anything better out of this. Those softs are getting worn out pretty quickly. And let's face it, all these cars up ahead are staying there till the end as Hisha Miracle now comes into the pit lane. And Claddy, what are you going to do? Are you going to go around again and basically guarantee yourself a puncture? Or will you do the smart thing here in pit? What will be your decision? And it is around again we go for Claddy. And with that, a very likely puncture to come up. And again, just holding everyone up. And there we go. Puncture is a fact here for the McLaren driver. And Nika Claddy has picked up a puncture just a couple of corners past the start of the lap. So this is going to hurt quite a bit. But yeah, everyone for the most part has pitted. The caps are here. Panto and Lando is the only real fight right now in the top 10 while we wait for other cars to get closer. So we'll have to wait to see here. Just 15 laps to go. And honestly, with the it's been a bit of a bigger spread, thanks to both damage to cars themselves as Santo passes, but also just due to, well, the drivers themselves. Claddy even has a pit stop issue to add insult to injury here. How is Luna's stop going to be? It's a clean stop, but where is Shower right now? Shower just went past the line alongside Hishi. Drift comes out with fresh tires in 7th. But Miracle Hishi here does clear up to 5th right now on those fresh soft tires. And honestly, if they keep this pace going, might even catch up to a podium place with a little bit of help. They're currently 2 seconds left quicker. The cars ahead. We've had another incident. This time it is Lando. And it's teammate on teammate violence for the Williams right now. And that is incredibly unfortunate for them. Lando and OP driver come together And Lando picks up a mechanical fault in that exchange. Is there going to be a second penalty going OP driver's way? As Aaron Fire also picks up a mechanical failure of their own. And Ethan is just sneaking by. Mexico and Allspider has gotten tangled with each other now. So they are fighting for that last podium spot. And in terms of Hishi Miracle, still a lot quicker. But unfortunately, it's going to be rough catching up to the podium fighters. I'm not even going to lie. It's going to be a rough challenge as they will be DRSing off each other. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in these last 10 laps. If Stig keeps it clean, if Christie keeps it clean, they should have the 1-2 finish here. We're getting to the end here. Hishi Miracle has pulled off a master drive here and is just now 1.5 seconds alongside Lunar Drift behind Allspider and Mexico. And in the meantime, Rice Shower has gotten a puncture. And look at the mess that is occurring down here. Well, because of it. That is kind of wild that they're just snaking and trying to get by. And Shower is just being in the way. But yeah, 3 laps to go here. The top 2 are basically settled in. But Mexico, Allspider, Drift, and Hishi Miracle here will all be fighting over that final slot on the podium. And Drift and Hishi both have better tires. And 3 laps to get a move made here. Let's see what the game has to offer. As we now also have a fight further down between Baba, Nick, Ethan, for, well, just a couple of points, really. Shall see how this goes. Allspider and Mexico still holding on to their positions. Are we going to see a move in now from Drift? Is it going to be Brave on the brakes? And Drift gets past Allspider and moves up into 4th place here. And with, again, tire advantage, this should be another easy pass. 2 laps to go. We're at the end of this one. And the pass has been completed, and that is quite the pass, all things considered. That is not bad at all. And Hishi now has a mechanical fault, which is very unfortunate because they're trying to catch up to a potential podium slot. Instead, the McLaren there is slowing them down a little bit. Not what they need right now as we enter the final lap. Lunar Drift fighting for that podium ahead of Mexico. Mexico now dropped down to 4th. Allspider in 5th. Miracle in 6th. Are we going to see any more changes of position here? Or is this going to be how it finishes here in Canada? Remember, we have 1 more race after this one. Allspider needs a good result here. Keep the dream alive. As Stig has crossed the line and won. Again, Chrissy will take 2nd place here. What can Drift do? Drift has broken the toe. Miracle gonna get by. The McLaren is still just causing problems. The lapped McLaren. And I think that kind of sells where they're gonna finish unless they get a massive drive here off the line. No, it's Allspider who gets the massive drive off the line. And get Mexico. No, Mexico is forward. Baba is out. What did Baba do? Did Baba run out of fuel? Where's Baba? Baba has retired. Baba has gone to the woods. I think Baba ran out of fuel. Straight up. There's only 2 things that could happen to Baba. Either just, as I mentioned, ran out of fuel. It is after the finish line, though, so it's not a big deal. They still will get that 8th place finish by the looks of it. Red flagged. No, Baba did park on track. Did Baba get 8th here? I'm sorry, yeah. Baba gets points for 8th, but Stig wins. Christy gets 2nd. Luna gets 3rd. We have the Mexico in 4th here. Allspider gets 5th. Miracle gets 6th. And we have Tanto, Baba, Ethan, and Nick. Unfortunately, that means Stuck loses out alongside Cap. But yeah, that was a bit of a weird scenario. And with that, the Gulf of Mexico takes the lead in the championship here. Ahead of Molobolo, Nick, and Allspider. And honestly, we do have a lot of drivers who could potentially get this in Jeddah. Jeddah is a wildcard though, and we do have a bunch of teams that could even take the constructors with just 1 race to go. Maybe this format has a bit of a future. We'll have to see. But this works out, and we are going to go to Jeddah. See how the final race goes for us. Welcome to the final race. We are in Q1 here. The pecking order is being set as we're going here. And there is some bad news for Lando and for Spider. Their teams have decided to do something very, very interesting, as you see pulling across the line to 9th. But both Spider and Lando are running majorly damaged components. They've not had an incident, they've not had a crash. They are running major damage components. Now, I want to take this opportunity because apparently I forgot to mention earlier, but I couldn't actually edit new components onto the cars because the file basically refused to load after I did that. So while I have been able to fix cars in earlier sessions, it resulted in unpredictability, and once again, it has done just that. I thought I could get it done this time around, but I've been unable to give new components to cars, and I apologize for this. But I think I have sorted out the problem. I spent basically 3 hours trying to save the save file, and it was impossible. I was supposed to give components at the halfway point, but again, I see that I made this whole monologue, but I forgot to give it. So apologies in advance, but we are jumping into the final qualifying session here, with Bolo being one of the first one out of, or rather, first ones on the fast lap here. Can they make it out of the bottom with Ethan, Lando, Christie, and Miracle here all joining in those bottom 5? Bolo up to 12th. That might not necessarily be good enough. Let's see what Miracle can do here. Again, everyone else will be trying to improve their lap time, so just 4 off getting a set to shower round might not be too good enough. That is a 27.3, but already up 4/10 on Bolo, so this should be a good time for Miracle. And yeah, 8th fastest, that is pretty respectable. Currently, we are waiting for the rest here to set their fastest lap times, but Cap, Spider, Christie, Lando, and Ethan currently in danger, with the Duck here trying to get out of the danger zone. Bolo is the one who is at risk as things stand. See what the Duck can do. Mexico with a good first sector up there, but Duck is still quicker. And Ethan, that is 6/10 down in first sector compared to Duck. That is not what you needed, my guy. That is very, very unfortunate. Duck goes 4th fastest, gets away from the danger zone. Now it's Stig on the chopping block. Can Ethan do something here? That is 5/10 down in second sector. I think Ethan is just straight up going to be out in Q1 here, unfortunately. I don't see any way of making it into the safe zone. And the lap time here is 18th. Ethan, first out in Q1. Ogre Cap now, trying to improve, and is improving. Actually doing pretty great. The 3rd fastest time there, just a 10th off. Let's see what Ogre can do. The Cap crosses the line and goes 7th fastest. Pushing Stig down, and OP Drivers now also on the chopping block. OP Drivers about to finish their lap. Has lost a couple of tenths, so this could be bad for them. They do go 11 fastest. Now, again, delegating Bolo to that danger zone. Is Bolo going to go out here from Christie? No, Christie is out. That's a bit surprising. What about Stig? I think also Allspider's had a terrible first sector here. 33.3. That's going to put them in real danger here. It's Bolo versus Stig by the looks of it. What is going to happen? It's going to come out on top. Stig has had a pretty decent lap, and it's more than good enough. With that, Q1 is over with Bolo, Ethan, Christie, Allspider, and Lando all out. We are nearing the end here of Q2, just 3 laps to go, and currently Stig is the fast one, followed by Rai Shao, who is still in the pits. Nick, Miracle, Claddy, Baba, Polling, and OP Drivers are the ones currently finding themselves in the danger zone here. Aaron is the first car out and is immediately going to meet up some traffic here as the final couple of cars are leaving the pit lane, and that is a terrible sabotage there. I don't know exactly who that was, but that was a lot of time lost immediately for Aaron. I think we'll see that reflected in the first sector time here at 32.1. Not as bad as it could have been, but compared to Pulling here, it was 2/10 quicker. Definitely lost some time trying to get past that car, which could be pretty devastating here. But Pulling needs to get at a good time to get out of trouble. Nick has also had a terrible first sector. That is not looking good. And for Pulling here, it's just locking in this final sector really at this point. See how that goes. Baba down basically 4/10 by now. And Nick in danger as things stand. What can Pulling do? Pulling goes 6 fastest, pushes down Cap. Nick is out, not unsurprising here. Baba moves out of the danger zone, but just barely 1,000 ahead of Kimmy, who is going to very likely to be improving here. And Cap is also out. What can Kaladi do? Improvement in the first sector. No improvement in the second one. And honestly, the time isn't looking great. See Kimmy coming in there too with an improvement in lap time. And for Clady, it is not enough. What about Kimmy here? What can Kimmy do? Kimmy is going to improve to 3rd fastest here, but Mexico is coming. Miracle is coming. Baba and Drift are both in danger here as things stand and could be eliminated. But right now, OP drivers, Nick, Cap, as well as Clady are out. Can Miracle and Mexico get out of these dangerous positions? And will Baba and Drift pay the price for their survival? Cap now. Sorry, Miracle. Just good enough. That means Miracle gets demoted instead of Drift as Mexico goes basically 3rd fastest here. Miracle, Baba, Clady, Cap, Nick, and OP drivers out in Q2. We are getting ready for Q3 here. Everyone is on their first out lap. And just a quick reminder of the standings. Currently, the Gulf of Mexico does have one hand on the Drivers' Championship here. Making it to Q3 will do a huge work for them. Both Nick and Spider has been eliminated alongside Bolo. Luna is still in this. So right now, Gulf of Mexico has a huge chance to secure the Constructors if they're lucky. And currently Sauber is in the lead of that. But as I mentioned here, it's McLaren, Mercedes, a lot of teams that could potentially get this. Let us see how these laps develop. Mexico, currently the fastest one out there, but Duck has set 2 purple sectors. It's 3/10 up and 5/10 by the end of it. Again, these are the banker laps that are basically just giving us a idea of who goes where, if you want to put it that way. And here Aaron comes. Stig, purple sectors. Is it going to be purple all the way? Looks like it. With that, Mexico could face a little bit of trouble. Let's see how this one goes. Stig across the line. And to provisional pole. Price Shower is going to be next one, but it's already 1.2 seconds down on Stig. That's not going to do much. And for Tanto, it's not much better. 8/10 down. Both of them are going to be hoping for a better run on the final attempt here. But yeah, first run over and done with. We are going to speed along till we get to the outlaps here. And Living Duck is already on one, going very, very early. And that could be pretty bad because now you have to manage the traffic here. 3 cars out ahead of Living Duck. Does have the front row locked right now. Let's see how this lap goes. Traffic is going to be coming up right now. And if you catch them in the corner, that's going to be terrible. And I think that is maybe what happens for one. But it is a purple first sector. Traffic not really being a huge problem here. What about our second sector here? Purple again. Going to be setting a time that's going to be hard to beat here by the looks of it. And that is going to make things very, very interesting here as we go over the line. And Duck, triple purple. 4/10 down to Aaron. So that is a masterful display. And now Duck has put pressure. The other 8 drivers competing here. Who is going to put pressure on him? Give me here. 1/10 down in the first sector. Not great, not terrible. And looking to improve. A second off the time right now. Still down in the second sector. Mexico having that very same kind of journey. What can Kimi do here now? Final sector to the line. And Kimi is going to be placed second. Just 300ths of a second behind. Now waiting for a leader. Mexico, what can you do? 10 or so down. And it is going to be 4th best as things stand. Aaron also crossed the line. Only 5th fastest. What can Pulling do here? Pulling crosses the line. And is 3rd fastest. We're seeing improvements. Shower goes 4th fastest. What can Tanto and Drift do here? They're about to cross the line. Stick Cross is 4th fastest. Hanto only 7th, and Drift only 8th. So Living Duck takes pole position here in Jeddah, followed by Kimi, Shower, Stig, Bowling. Then we have the lead in Mexico, Tanto, Drift, and Aaron. And I do believe we'll have some cars starting in the pit lane for this one. This should be a very interesting race. As mentioned here, our race starting grid for Jeddah. Living Duck will be starting pole alongside Kimi. We have Right Shower, Stig, Bowling, Mexico, Tanto, Loon Drift, and Mike here. We are going to be promoting History here as we're starting from the pits. But as expected here, both Allspider and Lando are starting from the pit lane. The problems they suffered in qualifying, which should make things fairly interesting here, honestly. So with that said, it is time to just get my cars out of the way and we'll jump into the race.
Really building here.
The anticipation is building and we are ready for the final race of the season, Jeddah.
Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Lights out and away we go. That is a decent enough launch for Kimi, but Kimi has soft tires and so does his teammates behind. But Duck somehow managed to sneak back out front. That's actually kind of wild. And with that, Living Duck has held onto the lead ahead of Kimi and Stig here, who have elected to go with soft tires. Both Shower and Duck have elected the hard alongside Ethan. And that should make for things a little bit interesting here with the pit strategies. We've seen Jeddah before, it's usually chaos. We can expect something similar this time around. Allspider and Lando again started in the pit lane. We'll take a look at what exactly they switched on their cars. But a clean getaway here, I do believe. And with that, it's basically just 1 or 2 positioning in the case of Christie, up or down. So most are where they started. But yeah, we're just going to keep up with this first lap because I'm very curious on where Lando and Allspider line up in terms of their cars. Have they swapped everything or has the AI screwed them? As it tends to do as fastest lap is set by the car furthest back. Let us take a quick look here at Lando. And it's a fresh engine, it's a fresh gearbox. Basically, best capabilities they have doing in last to first. And it's a very similar scenario. It's actually an identical scenario for Allspider here. Both of them are going to try and drive up back from behind. See if they can make something out of this. With Chaos, that could change things quickly here. Mexico is currently in 7th. And as things stand, they are still going to be champions even if Stig wins. So currently, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, to dethrone the Gulf of Mexico as things stand. And it doesn't take long. Abby pulling here has had an incident. You can see the Gulf in the background. And it is just a slight wheel banging, but that is, luckily for both of them, nothing serious. But it did lead to some minor damage on Pulling's car. I think it is actually the front wing that got damaged rather than the suspension. I think that is the best case scenario. But that did create a little bit of a gap for the cars up ahead. We're 6 laps in here, and we already had our first minor incident. Pulling and drift. No penalties given. We race on. We are barely 10 laps into this. We're actually on the 9th lap, and Bola and Nick both have come in here to try and do some undercutting. Gonna gamble on going onto the hard tire for both of them and try and undercut the cars ahead, which honestly is a pretty decent strategy around here. Another news, Allspider and Lando. Neither of them have climbed super high right now, but at the same time, they aren't too far off the lead. So all in all, shouldn't be a huge problem. We have another yellow flag here. Someone has had a little bit of an incident. It is Bolo, who immediately destroys some of the fresh tire they were given.
And there's the lockup. They took a gamble.
Bit of a lockup. Pretty unfortunate, but it only cost 5%, so it could have been a lot worse. Tap, on the other hand, here is playing with fire and getting close to that puncture zone as Miracle comes in. It's going to be a double stack for Alpine. It is. It is an Alpine double stack. Let's pray their pit crews are quick. And that looks actually pretty clean for Alpine. Never mind. It's a slow one. Gotten used to this. But yeah, slow stop from Cap. And with that, going to make undercutting a lot harder. But yeah, Miracle comes out ahead of both Nick and Bolo here. Bolo lost a ton of time from locking up. So Miracle now is the big one who can do a lot of undercutting on the soft runners. So we'll have to see just how quick they are on this fresh medium tire. But a lot of cars are starting to pit here. Claudia has even picked up a mechanical failure, which is very unfortunate. That's just the name of the game. Currently fighting Aaron as we see pulling now come in. Is it going to be a new front wing? It's going to be a slow stop here as a result. Yes, it is a new front wing. It is hard tires that is awaiting the Mercedes driver, but it is at least a clean one. Lando comes in. Another set of softs for the Williams driver, and Christie, I believe, has been given the medium tires. 11 laps in. Pulling will be trying to regain the time lost to that damaged front wing. Race leader here, Stig, should be coming in at the end of this lap. Same here for Kimi, which means that we are very likely to see a Ferrari double stack with less than 2 seconds between them. Are we going to see a brilliant piece of Ferrari strategy here? Or are they both staying out? No, they actually split the stops. That's not what we're used to. That's not what Ferrari is supposed to do. Kimi comes in alongside Spider and Baba. Can the Aston Martin driver have a clean stop? No, it's a slow one on the front right. That is unfortunate. And for Baba, it was a clean one. But yeah, that is going to cost Spider. And it's back to, well, the back really as a result of that. It's just currently, though, Stig is, as I mentioned, playing with fire. We expect the Ferrari driver to pit at the end of this lap, but you can already see just how much the damaged tires here are costing. Nearly 3 seconds now behind Duck, getting overtaken by Shower. So, pretty costly staying out as long as they did. But they go into the pit, and Tanto follows them alongside Luna Drift. It's a hard tire for the Stig. It's a clean stop. What about Luna here? Hard tire for the RB as well. Bit of a slow stop, but I think that was mostly just traffic. And Tanto is out here ahead of Stig. Great stop for the Mercedes crew. 5th through out here in 9th. Clady has gotten some new fresh tires. And OP driver is currently sitting in 17th. Not really having a good time after that stop. All in all, Kimi now should be, as Ethan picks up mechanical fault, and I think Christie did at the same time. Kimi here now is probably in the net lead, as the pit stops around here are fairly quick, 20 seconds. Kimi should in theory be able to undercut the cars ahead, as long as Ethan does get cleanly past here. So we'll have to see how that goes. Yeah, Tanto is not giving up, and honestly, Tanto might be helping out a little bit here, and just does a double pass on that straight. That's amazing. That's what we like to see. Mexico now, pitted onto a soft tire, comes out in 8th. But yeah, Tanto now, net first and chasing down Duck and Shower. They're probably going to go a few more laps here, same for Ethan. And we'll see if anything happens before we get there. It doesn't take long, just a couple laps later, and we have Rice Shower here in the pits going for a soft tire. And we'll have to see how many cars are going to be able to overtake our pitter here. Rice Shower actually comes out in 4th on a fresh set of softs. That's not bad. On the other hand, Tanto has absolutely left Kimi behind. Now 3 seconds down the road. And we're still waiting for Duck to pit. But if the standings remain as they are, the Gulf of Mexico is still going to win. We need Molo here. We need Nick. We need Spider Drift. Pulling someone here to step up and try and dethrone the Gulf of Mexico here. It's just honestly needing to survive at this point and score a few points, and they'll probably be happy. We finally see Duck here coming into the pits with a clean stop onto a medium from the lead and is now leaving. And that is a lot of traffic to live into, but luckily it comes ahead of both Lando, Drift, Mexico, and Pulling. With that, avoids the worst case scenario. Failures are still mounting. Stig, Christie, and Claudia are still struggling with them. Right now, after everyone has basically done their pit stops, Tanto is in the lead, followed by Rice Shower. But there is massive tire differences here after 19 laps. It's going to be interesting to see any big changes going forwards. But right now, if things stay as it is, Tanto we'll actually be square on points with Gulf of Mexico, and then we'll have to do a little bit of a reroll here. Check the rule set to figure out who exactly comes out as the winner. So we do actually have a fight. Mercedes now also is trying to take the constructors. So let's see here what Tanto has to offer. And right now, again, Gulf of Mexico needs a little bit more. If Tanto wins, they need to score 3 points by the looks of it. So keep fighting. Good luck with that. Lap 23 and Hishin Miracle here comes in for a hard tire. It's a slow stop for Alpine. That is very unfortunate. Miracle having a pit stop issue. But basically, again, we are getting started now with another set of pit stops. Clady, Lando, Mexico, all of them are getting to that 30% barrier. And Tanto is going to get there too. And when they do pit, it's going to be to the back of the grid, basically. So Miracle here is going to need a couple of good laps to climb the order. But pitting early isn't necessarily a bad thing right now. As Mexico moves up, we have a yellow flag. What's going on? The lockup from Christie. This day just can't get any better for the Red Bull driver here. That should be some tires getting a little bit fried. Some pretty fresh tires getting a little bit destroyed. Clady, Lando, and Baba come into the pit lane here. Hard tires for the McLaren. Are we going to try and go till the end? Mediums there for the McLaren, and hard from the Sauber. Bolo also finds their way into the pit lane. It's a medium tire for the McLaren. As I mentioned here, Mexico now is playing a little bit with fire. The longer you go, the more undercut you risk getting at this point. But I do wonder how the hard runs are going to do here. Again, we did lower the tire saving stat that I, for some reason, forgot the name of for this season to make things more exciting. It definitely is changing things up in terms of the pit stops here. Mexico now comes in as Chris's mechanical fault has escalated into a Terminal 1. Or Spider also comes in, trying to do a bit of a recovery drive. Hard tire for Mexico. That is a slow stop, not what they needed. And for Allspider, it's a hard tire. Both of them are going to try and go till the end now and undercut their way to the top. We'll have to see if that results in success. And Christie here has retired with that mechanical failure. That is very unfortunate. Aaron now, Tanto, Shower, as well as Kimi, all are getting on that chopping block for the pit stops. And as I mentioned here, Miracle is getting closer and closer to being able to undercut their way back up to top. I'm actually in the wrong screen here because pit stops here take about 20 seconds. And Miracle now, 23 seconds behind the leader. Should be able to undercut everyone but Tanto, who is now coming in and has been given a hard tire. Kimi has also gone to the hard tire. Shower's gone to a medium. Aaron and Nick also been given new tires. Hards and mediums for both of them. And Tanto, race leader, has not been undercut. And neither has Kimi here. Miracle needed a little bit more. But as Miracle is getting closer and closer, should be able to undercut Drift, pulling OP Driver. Should be able to move up at least 3 more places. Be very, very helpful. But yeah, Tanto now in prime position to potentially take the win here. And maybe get the drivers. Kimi is also lined up behind. They will go till the end and fight all the way. Miracle now. Duck is pushing. Miracle is just getting stuck in traffic behind Ethan and losing time as there is a, I believe, a back marker. Is there a back marker? No, it's Ethan. My bad. The timing page here did kind of fool me a little bit. That's my fault. Yeah. Top 5. Yet to pit. Tanto is still net first, but traffic now is going to slow them down. And it's going to allow for other cars to kind of get into the mix here, I think. Remains to be seen. Currently, though, leader, Tanto, driver, Kimi, they're actually getting slowed down enough here that Duck might be able to take advantage. And it's the teammate. It's Pulling causing some problems for Tanto right now. We love to see teammate on teammate violence. And right now, it's kind of happening in the worst way possible. There we go. Tanto finally makes his way by. Pulling now can play a big role here is slowing down Kimi, but the tires are more or less done. OP Driver is also suffering the tire problems. Ethan needs to pit at one point. And Cap here. Not a good end of the season, really, for Ogre. Yeah, Duck and Stig here, as well as Drift, are just trying to survive. Duck and Stig just needs to... Honestly, at this point, they might even consider pitting, because there is going to be a DRS train to deal with a little bit down the line. As pulling now has been overtaken by Kimi, Kimi will be fighting Tanto here all the way till the finish line. And this fighting again is very good for Stig, it's very good for Duck. That will most likely slow them down a little bit. We did see OP Driver here come to the pit lane. They are going to a hard tire. They'll have a little bit of a tire advantage over the ones that pitted earlier. But 40 seconds down the road, that's going to make things really, really challenging here in terms of getting a points finish. But right now, we are literally just waiting for top 3 here to pit. We have Stig here into the pit lane onto a medium tire from top 2. And as you can see, staying out longer did come with a little bit of a punishment. Out here in 5th, behind Drift, who is yet to pit, but should any second now. Pulling did pit onto a soft tire. It's going to be a little bit challenging, I think, to go 20 laps on that, but we'll see how they do. As mentioned here, Kimi and Tanto still running side by side and closing in on Duck. Stig now on these medium tires. Will they be able to close down and catch up to the more worn hards? That remains to be seen. And honestly, with 18 laps to go here, we could see drivers like Miracle, Baba need to pit again as the race leader comes in. Duck is going for a soft tire. 17 laps to go. A little bit slow. Not what they needed right now. They needed a clean stop. And look at all the cars flying by. That's gonna sting a little bit, but I don't think the slow stop too much, maybe. A little bit. Could have come out with had a right shower, did not. Yeah, Kimi, Tanto, Stig are currently fighting. Mexico did not have a good stop. That's the result. Standings right now. Still in the lead. Tanto cannot come second. Needs to win. So it's all still open. Gonna be Kimi versus Tanto to decide, I think, the championship here, unless we have some, let's say, interesting things happening with 17 laps to go. It's been very clean so far. 13 laps to go here, and Tanto and Kimi are still fighting, but Stig has actually caught up and is currently in the process of overtaking both of them. Well, trying at least. A little bit of a tire advantage still, but 13 laps to go. Needs to make it count. Duck is 8 seconds down the road, getting good use of those softs. And as I mentioned here for Miracle, still 12 laps to go, 15% usable tire. It's going to be a challenge to get to the end here. Lando too needs to pit. Nick needs to pit. But we will have another, well, bunch of pit stops here. Question is just, are we going to have a safety car for some mayhem here, or will it end, well, under racing conditions? Shao is probably going to need to pit, so the order can still get a bit of shuffling here, and Mexico might actually come out ahead purely because there are, well, 3, maybe 4 cars up ahead here that still need to pit. That could come in clutch for the driver here. For now, we'll just sit back, relax, and see if Lando gonna pick up a puncture. 24% decides to go around again. That is a risk if I've ever seen one. Hopefully Lando can come out on top here. This decision. The news. Stig has overtaken both Tanto and Kimi. And is now building a gap. And if Stig wins, it's the exact same scenario as if Tanto wins. Mexico still needs to score some points here to retain the title. But as things stand right now, Ferrari would take the Constructors' Championship, jumping 6 spots in the final race. That is if they do that 1-2 finish by looks of it. Still a lot of racing to be done here. Nick now comes in. Lando going around again. Lando, you absolute madman. Yeah, Nick here. Sauber puts on a fresh coat of soft tires. 10 laps to go. Again, usable tire is running low for a lot of these drivers. And we do know the AI likes to be stubborn. Mexico has even dropped down a couple of places here. That's not good. As pulling, drift, cap all catch up with better tires, that could be a problem for Mexico. 10 laps to go now. As Lando gets overtaken by their teammate and has hit that critical 20% chance of puncture, Rice Shower comes in. Soft tires, 10 laps to go. It's going to be a sprint here for the Red Bull driver. Lando comes in as well. What are they going to put on their car? It's a soft tire. It's going to be a clean stop. It is. And Rice Shower here comes out in 14th. Is just seven seconds away from points on a used soft tire. Lando gets fresh ones a little bit further down the road, but with fresh tires, they could probably make something happen. Remains to be seen. Claddy, Baba, Miracle, all again do need to pit, and the longer they wait, the worse it's going to get for them. Stig now is actually losing compared to Kimi and Tanto, but I assume that is just due to, well, the DRS pull. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Miracle goes around again, and again, this is where the AI can be a bit stubborn and decide that we're not pitting. Because we're so close to the end here, and we are going to survive. That could be really, really bad. Really, really bad here. For the time being, we can just speed this up a little bit. Just 8 laps to go. We're going to stay with it until the end here, as we are seeing Miracle come into the pits. How many places will be lost? It's a soft tire. Claddy comes in as well. Miracle, are you going to beat your teammate out of the pits? Just barely. And Claddy here. Soft tire, clean stop. 7 laps. And again, we're running low on usable tire for a lot of these guys. Or Spider, who's done a decent recovery drive so far. It's going to be rough getting till the end on that. Baba needs to pit too. Duck has 53% left of a soft tire. When did they put those on? Just going to check it quickly for the Duck. 9 laps ago. They've used 50% in 9 laps. There's still 7 laps to go. They have 20% usable tire. That is concerning for the Aston Martin driver. At this point, everyone is just praying for a safety car. Because their tires are so worn. Fastest lap goes to Nick, who did pit onto fresh softs a little while ago. Is making their way back up the order here. Again, Miracle. How quick are you actually going to be on these soft tires? How much quicker are you going to be than the rest of the field? Are you going to make it back in the points? And the more important question is, could you make it up to Allspider or Aaron? Remains to be seen. Hishi now, across the line. And it is 3 to 4 seconds quicker than most of the field. Passing is going to be the main challenge here, but 3 to 4 seconds could potentially pull them up into close to a podium spot if they get a clean pass and does not get slowed down, which, let's face it, looks very unlikely with a DRS train now going all the way up to 7th place. Sig is still in lead. Tanto and Kimi are still doing their thing. Duck is just trying to survive at this point. And Baba. Baba is the one holding up the train. And that is really infuriating for Miracle here. Really infuriating for Hishi. And pulling finally gets a little bit of freedom here. As Baba goes around again. And is still just being an absolute menace to the DRS train further back. They were almost 5 wide going into that corner. And that is, again, just being a blessing for everyone ahead and a curse for everyone behind. 35. One of the slowest cars on track right now. Only equaled by Lunar Drift, who's stuck in that very same train. When is Baba going to get the puncture? When is mayhem going to commence here? Freedom be gained for those stuck behind. Shower has found freedom. OP Driver gets overtaken by Miracle now, which should be able to gain some freedom. We are getting ready here with just 3 laps to go. Well, soon to be 3 laps to go. And Baba finally jumps in the pits. That is way too late, though. Way too late. That's going to be pretty bad, as Lando now has set fastest lap. At least it's a clean stop, but yeah, it's just so late. So late in the race here. You are 7 seconds off last place. Or Spider might be able to survive till the end here, but very likely end up with a puncture. And the gap between Stig, Tanto, and Kimi is just increasing right now. And standing-wise, Stig, as I mentioned, will win this if they win the race and Mexico does not score a decent chunk of points. Or Spider could also still get it, but that's going to require some divine intervention, I think. Right now, Ferrari looks to take the double with 3 laps to go of this season. Who is going get the result they were looking for? Again, Spider needs to basically get a ton of space. I think we're nearing the end. Even a safety car isn't going to change this. A red flag might, but even then, it needs to happen now for it to have any sort of effect. 3 laps ago, Astig now across the line. It's just 2 laps ago. And again, tires are being worn. Mexico needs a little bit of help here. Needs to score 2 to 3 points. 8th place guarantees victory. And right now, OP Driver is holding them back. Both of them on very used, very worn tires. But a puncture from Spider would change things. A puncture from any other soft runners would change things. But it's just so little time left here. Mexico now is just falling down the order. That is not helping at all. Mexico needed to be in charge of this train. And look at this. Nick has lost 2 seconds to the top 10 train. That makes that fight very, very unlikely here. And now Duck also is getting up into the fight here for a podium slot. Stig, final lap, should be able to win if they just survive. Tanto, Kimi, and Duck are going to be fighting for 2nd or 3rd place here, which will decide a couple of things, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But Tanto gets an excellent exit, and Kimi has lost a lot of time here. 7/10 on that first corner alone. Duck will try and take advantage, just have an tire advantage, I'd say. Aaron has been very much just running this race alone, is chilling in 5th. No one really getting close. Miracle did try, but traffic was just too bad. The tires to really make a difference here at the end. Shower in 7th, then we are pulling OP Driver, Spider, Drift, Nick, Mexico, Claddy, Lando, Ethan, Bolo, Baba, and Cap. And we are probably mostly excited to see who is going to end up on the podium here. Big is a foregone conclusion, but Kimi, Duck, and Tanto are still fighting it out. And we have the puncture here from Spider. It happened on the final lap, which is going to allow Drift to move up a spot here. And just as I say that, Kimi takes advantage and passes Tanto. But heading into the final DRS section, the final corner here, and Tanto just has nothing to give. Duck be brave on the brakes, or it's going to be a little too late for it. Looks like it's going to be a little bit too late. Stig gets the win here. Kimi comes in 2nd in Jeddah. Tanto will secure 3rd by looks of it. Duck gets 4th. Then we have Aaron coming in 5th. And Shower versus Miracle isn't over yet, as they too go towards the final corner and just could not get it done. Safety car has been deployed, which I think nullifies any of the other fighting, as I believe some cars have in fact run out of fuel. Yeah, Aaron secures 5th here. Miracle is going to secure 6th. And we have Shower pulling OP Driver and Drift. And unfortunately for Mexico here, they just needed a couple of points to get that title. Fell a little bit short at the finish line. And that is just sometimes how things go. So we have a line of cars here lining up for the parade, if you will. But our season is done. This has been a cursed season from my perspective because it has suffered every mistake you see. But I'll go about that a little bit on Discord. You can check that out if you're curious what I've been struggling with. But basically, Saudi Arabia's done. Drivers' Championship. We see the Stig take it here with a comeback drive, which is kind of what I was hoping for. And I set the weaker driver out first and then the high rate driver at the end. The Stig came out a winner. Mexico takes 2nd place. Adam Molo, we have Tanto, Nick, Spider, Miracle, Luna Drift, pulling, and Kimi here. 7 places up. Take the Drivers' Championship. I don't think we've seen that much of a drift before. Then we have Duck, Baba, OP Drivers, Claddy, Lando, Shower, Oguri, Ironfire, Christy, and Ethan, who were unfortunate for 6 points here. Constructors then is taken by Ferrari with another massive jump, 6 places on the final race, followed by Mercedes, Aston Martin, Sauber, McLaren, Alpine, RB, Haas, Williams, and Red Bull. Decent point gains for most teams here, honestly, all things considered. But yeah, that is where we will be ending the season, and I do apologize for, again, some problems here for being extremely late. Basically every scheduling problem that you could imagine, every problem with the cars, every problem with anything really that could be a problem became a problem. I probably spent 1.5 to 2 driver championships troubleshooting this save file. So apologies again for not being able to swap in fresh engines for the second part of the season. The save file just wouldn't have it, and that is the unfortunate reality of the situation. But it was still fun. And I do feel like the offline driver championship is something that we might try something more of, because again, it allows for more creativity. We can do driver changes between races. We can do car performance changes between races, of course, and break the save. So problematic if I get it wrong, but it opens up some opportunities to do some other things. But I think the stream probably would have been best. Although if I streamed this one, it probably would have taken me a month. So it wouldn't have, well, that's why I say it probably would have taken even longer, because the issues that I faced whenever I would have had time to stream. I had a couple of tasks of Super Saiyan, which seems to be a common thing at this point, but it was easily fixed. It's basically just the editor giving them a little bit too much experience. I edited down, I edited the part, and then we're good. But the problem with that is that it takes time. So again, thank you all for participating. I'm very sorry that it took me again forever to get this done, but we have reached the end. I hope you enjoyed, and congratulations to Ferrari for taking this as well as the Stig. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.